Y bueno, ya para irnos, jóvenes de preparatoria se preparan a esa edad para una carrera especialmente deliciosa. Son estudiantes del taller de artes culinarias de la escuela Miramesa. Los jóvenes chefs prepararon hoy platillos típicos de esta época decembrina, pues compartieron sus conocimientos y hasta dieron consejos y tips para una mejor preparación de estos platillos que de alguna manera son bien recurrentes y se cocinan en muchas casas en esta época de fin de año. Y lo que me llama mucho la atención, compañeros, es eso, que sean pues edad, adolescentes prácticamente, como que ya vayan definiendo un poco, ¿no?, lo que van a querer hacer.
Es que es precisamente...
Mira lo que hicieron en Univisión 17, mira que...
Ay, qué creativos. Es que es precisamente, Claudia, cuando creo que tienen más precisamente las habilidades para ser más creativos, por ejemplo, inventar cosas, inventar platillos con los sabores que ya tienen, que han conocido en sus familias o digo de sus diferentes culturas. Así que, pues muchas felicidades. Seguramente ellos van a ser los próximos chefs exitosos aquí, esperemos aquí en San Diego, ¿no?
Elías, conociéndolo, yo creo que le hubiera gustado ver.
Lo que yo tengo que decir
I don't use it that often. Good evening. We provide 2 opportunities for members of the public to address the board on items not on today's agenda. One at this point at the beginning of the meeting, and again at the conclusion of all the other businesses on the agenda. Ms. Ward, in addition to, I think you gave me all the ones we have in addition to. Okay, we'll start out with our blue sheet. We have quite a list. So, Leslie Scott, followed by Cliff Kasler, followed by Carlos Ramon. Okay, if these people are outside in the lobby, can we let them know, Jack? Because I know that we have a lot of people here and they can't get in. Okay, very good. Leslie Scott, Cliff Kessler, Carlos Ramon,
I'm Carlos.
okay, come on up. Please. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Cliff Kessler, and I reside at 4374 Samoset Avenue, San Diego, 92117. I'm a lifelong member of this community, and my parents, siblings, wife, children, all myself went to San Diego City Schools. I'm currently employed as a landscape technician by the district, and I'm here to speak on my own behalf, as well as a large majority of my colleagues. Our concerns are the impact on our job performance and the economics of the physical plant operations reorganization plan. It was approved by the board, I believe, in December. The consensus is that it creates a top-heavy department that's laden with more high salary positions, while there remains 14 lower-level landscape tech positions that are yet to be filled that were approved 2 years ago by the board. These are the people that actually do the work. There are concerns that this reorganization plan also predetermines a move to contract out landscape as well as custodial jobs in the future. It's our hope that while you make the hard decisions concerning the budget crisis, you remember who keeps our schools clean, green, and safe for our children. Contrary to what some would believe, most of us really do care what our schools look like. They are a source of community pride and an inspiration to the students attending them, as well as the parents who drop off and pick up, and the teachers and staff who work there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Holly Stevens and Ariel Sites. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Ramon. I'm an employee at the Old Town program. I'm a Race and Human Relations Educational Assistant. I'm a classified employee. And I wanted to express to you the importance of our program. I know you guys are thinking about eliminating our OSAL program, and I'm a product of the Unified School District. I'm a parent here. And the folks at our program, we provide something not just about social studies. is more than social studies. It's about people connecting, people learning how to live together. The program began about integration. The program began to get kids going to school together. We don't have, how are kids going to learn to live together if they don't have opportunities to grow together? When we deal directly with issues of difference and diversity and culture, these things you can read in studies that social studies is done best learned best when an actual application to their lives can be made. And this is what we're doing at Old Town. The suggestion that they can come to Old Town, they can come to Balboa Park. They don't. These kids that don't have the opportunity to, they come up to our hill and they see the ocean for the first time. It's the first time they're getting to see these things, and I just really hope that we can find some other things. And I was heartened to see that your initials weren't next to our program, because this is such important things that we're doing there. And I hope that my daughter gets to go there. I hope you guys see that the passion that we bring to these little kids having these experiences of getting to know people that are different, getting to know kids from different schools. These are things that don't happen for them, and we provide that opportunity. I hope you guys really take another look at every possible thing you could possibly do before giving us the axe. Thank you.
Thank you. Please just wave your hands. Thank you. Leslie Scott. Okay.
Hello. I'm here today to speak about an issue that took place with me, with the school district. I was a former guidance counselor with the school district, 87. And as an employee in the district, you're a mandated reporter when you work with children. Well, I reported some things that took place that year, and I was put on administrative leave with pay. I did make mention of it at those times. I took it to all the people that I thought would be the appropriate individuals to take this issue to. The reason I bring it up today is I got a letter in the mail that indicated that I owed the school district some money for some sick leave. And then I got another letter that said that I owe them, rather than sick leave, for vacation time. So then my concern became, once I got a letter claiming they were going to send me to collections, because I'm not working, by the way, but I got a letter indicating that I was going to be sent to collections for this money to be received back to the district, claiming they made an error. Was this money actually taken from that mandated reporting situation? Because I was put on a mandated reporting administrative leave, I was put on administrative leave for reporting something which is not an appropriate action. However, they paid me for it. So my concern is, where did this money come from, and are they now trying to get this money back? And using that mandated reporting, using this to cover up the mandated reporting, because originally they said it was sick leave, then they turned it around and said it was vacation pay. It looks rather suspect to me, being that they made some decisions 2 years ago that weren't appropriate. I'm thinking they may very well do the same thing. And this was, by the way, a principal and Adonis in personnel, exactly. And like I said, it was inappropriate back then, but there's not a whole lot you can do. So I just want to know at this point, what can I do? Because I don't feel like I should be sent to collections for something that I truthfully don't deserve to be sent to collections for. And I'm willing to pay it back if I owe it, but I just don't believe I owe it.
Okay, we'll look into it.
What do I need to do? I have some paperwork here, because I'm sure you don't have you won't have the paperwork.
Superintendent?
Thank you. James Macias, our Chief Finance Officer, behind you, will take your paperwork and help you. We are aware of this board. We have been working on it and will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly Stevens, Ariel Seitz, Rich Dreyer.
Good evening. My name is Holly Stevens, and I represent Sequoia Elementary. It's located at 4690 Limerick Avenue, San Diego 92117. Thank you again. I was here at the last public meeting, and I'm here again to speak on behalf of Sequoia Elementary and ask you to please not close that school. I emailed the 5 of you board members and asked you what you thought about school closure and if you agreed with superseding district policy. I did receive emails back from 2 of you. Thank you, Mr. Barrera and Mr. DeBeck. And I agree with both of you. I agree with Mr. DeBeck when he says that schools should not be closed unless there is a plan for their immediate use. So far, we haven't heard of immediate uses for Sequoia, so I urge you to consider that when you think about whether or not to close Sequoia. Also, I agree with you, Mr. Barrera, that we should not supersede district policy. I have the district policy here. It's policy 3113, and it says that there is a community engagement and response time, and that's during the June-September time period. Each work group will prepare a response to the staff closure recommendation for its area, and then a report to the Board of Education is submitted, and that report will be considered by the Board of Education during the November-January time period for school closures at the end of that school year. Well, we're here in the end of February, so we're obviously, if we look to close schools by fall 09, we are superseding district policy. So I urge you all to consider the district policy before you consider closing Sequoia or any school. And I also want to bring up that the Small School Committee was originally formed to look at ways to not close small schools. Its intent was changed in October when Dr. Greer, you supplied the committee with a list of 40 schools, small elementary schools, that you wanted them to look at, and you wanted them to come up with a list of 10 to 12 for possible closure. They also agreed not to follow the Brown Act. They felt that it wasn't the committee's responsibility in the way the committee was formed, and I disagree. I think that a committee like that needs to give public notice, and I believe that especially the schools involved needed to be made aware of this small school committee, and it wasn't made aware to us until the news got a hold of it. So I want you to please consider those points that I brought up, and again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ariel Sykes, Rich Dreyer, please. Rich Dreyer. Hi, Rich. Rick. Next. Okay. See you.
Hi, my name's Ariel Sykes, and I just gave Ms. Ward a copy of the Silvergate budget that was in place for the 2009 or 0809 school year for you to look at. My name's Ariel Sykes. I live at 3705 Texas Street, 92104. I'm here to represent Silvergate Elementary School in Point Loma today. Last year's budget cuts drastically impaired our school. Our school site budget after paying teachers' salaries and required staff positions was just $23,000 for the 2008-09 school year. In order to pay for necessary noon duty supervision and supplies, Silvergate had to forego a library assistant, an attendance clerk, reading recovery programs, and photocopies. While I am encouraged to hear that the district is looking to fully fund the schools for next school year, I still have concerns about further cuts to our school budget when there have been things in the district that have been overlooked. It has been brought to our attention that the school district has been spending $800,000 each year for the past several years to fund a biliteracy program at 2 elementary schools in the district, Sunset View and Jerebeck. Neither of these schools are magnet schools. Both of these schools are in highly affluent communities with very healthy student populations and very active parent participation. These programs are not funded through federal grant money, but through the district at a cost of $800,000 a year. I was outraged last year when the Silvergate site budget was cut to a mere $23,000. However, I believed that all schools were sharing the pain equally. 9 years ago, Silvergate lost its science magnet funding. Since then, the parent organization has worked tirelessly to maintain funding for science. It is time that the parents at Sunset View and Jerebeck are faced with this budget crisis like the rest of us. It's time that their parent organizations start paying for the enrichment programs while the district maintains that every child in the district is provided with the best education possible. To have certain schools getting extras while others are lacking basics is an inequity so profound that it is difficult to imagine how it came to pass. It is my hope that the district will discontinue all special programs in order to provide the best education possible for everyone during these difficult times. When the district is looking to cut $63 million for the coming school year, I think it's rather foolish to be spending close to $1 million in special programs for just 2 schools. Thank you for your time in dealing with this matter. I realize that you have a very difficult task ahead of you. I hope that you will keep in mind that it is your duty to see that every child is given a fair and appropriate education. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold your applause, please. We're trying to get through 30 minutes. Rick Dreyer, Alan Peterson, Professor Chuck Ambers.
Ms. Jackson, members of the board, I'm Richard Dreyer, retired San Diego City Schools teacher. I've had a 40-year tenure in teaching, and during that 40-year period, I've seen many programs in the district and many successful programs, but the most successful I've seen meets that mission statement up there that says all students will graduate with the skills, motivation, and curiosity, etc., to succeed. We might ask a rhetorical question about the Old Town program, and the rhetorical question would be, why do we have an Old Town program in the San Diego Unified School District? The answer to that question is so that our children do not grow up with historical amnesia about their own community. Well, what is it that a program like Old Town does that's different than reading about history? Well, it's an experiential field experience that allows students to touch history, see history, and yes, if they want to, kiss history. It engages them in no other way. And for this reason, and this reason alone, I would encourage you to rethink keeping the Old Town program as an existing program. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Peterson, Professor Chuck Ambers, Bruce Coons.
Good evening. My name is Alan Peterson. I've been working in Old Town for 16, 17 years now. I run a history museum in the school. I also, because my corporation doesn't pay me enough, I have a second job as a U.S. history teacher for City College. I teach on the military bases. And I am truly sorry to be up here again. I've been here before testifying in front of you. Nice to see you again. Not really, but I know that you have a tremendous amount of pressure on you, and I know you're dealing with the best you can. The Old Town program, as Rick pointed out, is unlike any other program for San Diego City School kids. There's no other place where San Diego began, and for them to have a chance to experience that, run by a program by an amazingly dedicated bunch of teachers here who have been here for a long time, as I have. It's irreplaceable. There really is nothing else in the district that can match up to that. As proof, I brought my son. The Old Town program did not pick his shirt, by the way. And, he went to the Old Town program as well as my daughter, who's now a student at UCSD, and they learned things at the Old Town program that they would have learned nowhere else, and they became grounded in the city's history in a way that can't really be replaced. There are other people here tonight who might not get a chance to have a say because of the nature of the event, and we have people like Teresa Miranaka, who teaches the kids about archaeology and teaches them respect for really the roots of our society, and people like Abe Silvas, who teaches us about the Kumeyaay. There's just no way to replace this program. I hope you will not cut something that is really performing as well as any program possibly could perform in city schools. Thanks.
Thank you. Professor Chuck Ambers, Bruce Coons, Jody Merchant, followed by Benjamin Williams.
Okay. Mr. Superintendent, Madam President, board members, and reps. I'm Professor Chuck Ambers, and I'm the owner and operator curator of the African-Spanish Museum in Old Town called Casa del Remordo. You have papers being passed out. We're at 2471 Congress Street, San Diego Historical District of Old Town. I'm also here to represent the business community, Old Town Community Planning School, as well as the Mayor's Design and Review Board for Old Town. I'm here to ask you not to cancel this Old Town fourth grade program. You've had a couple of speakers ahead of me to mention about it. Mine comes from a different perspective. I would like to talk to the 62 juvenile hall court school students, mainly Mexican-American, African-American gang members who came through my museum just this morning. This program is like a prophylactic, and I don't say that often in school educational facilities, but it's like a prophylactic for these fourth graders. For the junior high and high school gang members to come through, they're on the wrong side of the law already because they didn't get some of this in the fourth grade. And that's part of what you have. You have a culture diversity in Old Town that is addressed. I'm the only African-Spanish museum in the Southwest United States that teaches some of that African-Spanish history, African-Mexican history. And these fourth graders would pay $20,000 if their parents had to bring them through to get that. And the fourth grade program pays only a very fraction, a small fraction of that as it is. And so that's part of what we're talking about. The cultural diversity that they get, that they learn about people of African and Mexican, Spanish descent, so that those junior high and high school gangs that start bumping heads don't bump heads. And so this is part of it. We have somewhere between 5 to 7 million people who come through Old Town State Park. It's the busiest state park in the whole of the system. And the birthplace of California under European control, but they don't always talk about the 20,000 years that you had Native Americans, indigenous people that lived there. They get some of that. Students can't afford to pay for this out of their own pocket. Parents would not bring them to Old Town, and that's part of what I would like to address. But more importantly, I'd like to tell you just a couple of facts that I don't know if you know about. That the last governor of California under Mexican control was an African-Mexican governor. He signed over the state of California from Mexico to the United States. And Mexican Americans and African Americans don't normally know that. So when you have that immigration, when you have that immigration group that steps out of your schools instead of going to Chicano Park to protest, they need to be studying the
Thank you, Chuck.
Guadalupe Hidalgo Treaty.
All
And
right.
thank you. Please
you.
say the Old Town program.
Bruce Coons, Jody Merchant, Benjamin Williams, Karen Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. President, and members of the board and the staff for this opportunity to talk to you. I'm Bruce Coons. I'm the Executive Director of the Save Our Heritage Organization. We run 2 museums in Old Town that the students go through, the Adobe Chapel and the Whaley House. And I think I've talked to you before about one of the reasons I do what I do now is because when I was a student, I was taken by the school district to Old Town, and it impressed me so much that I ended up being in this profession, preserving California's and particularly San Diego's history. And I'm going to pick on John for a second because he was the one that responded to me. He wrote back and said, well, maybe you weren't in a recession at that time, but actually we were. It was a recession in 1963. And it was a bad one that was not as probably as bad as this one, but it was related to the 2001 recession, excuse me. But this just goes to point out that if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And the Whaley House is the best example of that. It was built to be a center of a brick row of buildings that they thought we were going to become the next San Francisco. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and he had to go to work for the U.S. government and the post office in Alaska to support himself for the next 10 years, and he worked the rest of his life for that to come out. But we're historians and not economists, but those lessons are very important today, and 4 years ago, we were predicting, because of what we saw, a massive downturn, though not as bad. I don't think anybody could predicted this, but we were predicting at least 35%. So we took steps at that time, and our nonprofit happens to be very healthy, very much in the black, and we did not lose a cent in the stock market on our investments or a cent in the failing banks like other nonprofits did, because we know this background and we know the boom and bust cycles of the past. And to take people in Old Town and to teach them Thomas Whaley's story tells them that lesson. And without that, and where they can see it and feel it, they're doomed to repeat it, and we're going to keep repeating these cycles without getting out of it. So please do not stop the Old Town program. It's extremely important to all of our futures. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody Merchant, Benjamin Williams, Karen Spring, Fred Graham.
Hi, I'm Jody Merchant. My address is 1926 Drescher Street, San Diego. Good evening, Dr. Greer, Madam President, members of the board. I'm a mother of 2 grown children, but I still remember the day my 4th grader came home, very excited that she was going to go to the Old Town program. As a concerned parent, as an involved mother, I went with her. By the time my younger daughter came, I was employed at the Old Town program. I was so impressed with the program. I was so impressed with what my children learned. That was 21 years ago. I'm heartsick to think that the Old Town program is going to be cut, and I feel it's my duty to make sure each and every one of you know exactly who we are and exactly what we do for our children. Our lessons comply with the California state standards for 4th grade social studies, but we do ever so much more. Even though we highlight California history, our focus is on the many unique cultures that have made San Diego our remarkable city today. We allow our children to see how their ancestors have contributed to San Diego's development. We have evolved over the years to become a one-of-a-kind race-human relations program that complements the varied backgrounds of our students. We have received local, state, and national awards of excellence. As part of the week-long learning experience, our students get to visit museums and parks that most of our kids have never had an opportunity to visit. They get to experience music, theater, art, dance, which is becoming nearly non-existent in their classrooms. But most importantly, our expert staff gets to plant a seed that helps our children grow into concerned citizens of an ever-shrinking world, a seed that helps our children know that prejudice and discrimination is not okay, a seed that will help them embrace diversity. You need only to pick up a newspaper today to read the headlines to understand how important the Old Town program is. Lastly, I'd like you to know I'm not here standing in front of you to beg for my job. My teaching career is just about over. But I would like to introduce you to the love of my life. This is my 7-year-old granddaughter, Isla Valentine. Say hi. And I want to make sure that the Old Town program is open for her and for children like her, that she gets the same experience that her mom, her aunt, and other children in San Diego have had. Please do not close this valuable program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Benjamin Williams, followed by Karen Spring, followed by Fred Graham and Richard Stagnart, and that'll be the end of our public session for this time.
Good evening, Dr. Greer, Madam President, board members. That's going to be a tough act to follow. Thank you for this opportunity to speak before you. I'm speaking to you tonight as a parent and an educator. And I'm literally outraged at the thought of eliminating the Old Town program. It provides such valuable lessons for all the children of San Diego. Now, I attended San Diego Unified School District from kindergarten through 12th grade, and I grew up here in East San Diego, and I still reside there. But unfortunately, it wasn't until I attended college that I was able to learn about all the many contributions that African people have made and the other Asian cultures and Native American people have made. It wasn't until college. So I felt like I had been robbed part of my identity and truly believe that I received a biased education. It angers me to think that for 13 years, the school district taught me things, but basically from a European perspective. This is one of the many reasons why the Old Town program is so valuable. The children get an opportunity to learn about the contributions many cultures have made, including their own. For example, many of the students, the majority of them, have no idea of all the inventions that African American people have made that they use every single day, such as the hairbrush and the hair comb, the toilet that they sit on, okay? The gas mask, and we talk about the traffic light, the mailbox. I could go on and on. The gas heater that they use, the air conditioner. So all of those things, and the kids' favorite is the ice cream cone. Yeah, that was invented by an African American too. So they really enjoy learning about these things, and I can watch them, I can see them stand up a little bit straighter. I can see that pride as they learn things about their culture and how their descendants have contributed here to San Diego. I see in children in all cultures, whether they're Asian, Portuguese, Italian, Mexican, and European, they all want to know about what their descendants have done. Another important thing that we do at the Old Town program is we give children the tools that they need to understand each other and their own identity, as well as the shared responsibility that we have to our society. If we truly want a pluralistic society and create global citizens then we must have programs such as Old Town. This program gives students the foundation they will need to be able to lead and participate in the society of tomorrow. So I stand here speaking for my children and all the children who want and deserve an opportunity to learn about their cultures and other cultures before they get to college.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please do not
Karen
eliminate
Spring,
the program.
Fred Gran, and Richard Steinhardt.
Hi, Board. Hi, John DeBeck. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Karen Spring, and I am an entrepreneur, business owner in Old Town for over 20 years. I want to thank you for letting me have this opportunity to address the budget concerns of the San Diego School Board as it pertains to the Old Town Cultural School Program. As a longtime business owner and activist in the historic community, I remember those on the school board who had an early vision of how it would serve our San Diego students well to observe and experience history where it happened. As the first Western settlement of North America, Old Town San Diego plays a significant role in American history. The community is not just a hub of cute stores and Mexican restaurants, but instead offers our children a unique opportunity that is second to none in the nation, to learn about our state history and its contribution to the United States. To recognize its true value is to acknowledge that educators from around the world have been visiting the program since its inception to learn how to model one of their own. Although we have frequent budget challenges, I'm here not only to ask for your reconsideration, but to ponder why this board has never taken a serious look at options made available to them through the private sector that would, in fact, close the budget gap and allow the valuable program to continue, expand, and prosper. I have personally attempted to propose an out-of-the-box concept that would fund the fourth grade cultural school program, make better use of the existing Fremont Elementary School property, promote San Diego history to the public, and leave millions of surplus dollars in the budget to fund other worthwhile projects. But instead of us sitting down and using our collective knowledge to examine the potential of such a profitable proposal and discussing how it could be accomplished to remedy a major portion of this reoccurring budget issue, I have been greeted with disinterest and a spectrum of other remarks that include we're too understaffed or everything is just fine the way it is. Obviously, you're going to be more understaffed and nothing is fine the way it is. With that said, this will remain a sad testament to the poor partnership between educators and the private sector as I stand here with others pleading with you to continue to fund a program that you now find unimportant and easy to discard due to budget restraints. If you want a way out of this, let's sit down and make something new and exciting happen and get this resolved once and for all.
Yes.
I know you did.
Okay. Fred Gran and Richard Steinhardt.
Thank you. My name is Fred Grand. I'm the president of the Old Town Chamber of Commerce. I've had the privilege of serving in that capacity for the last 10 years and represent our members, approximately 450 business owners, large and small, throughout Old Town. The last time this subject came up about closing the Old Town program, our board of directors called a special meeting to confer and to decide what position we should take. And you'd think that there might be a divergence of opinion among business owners about thousands and thousands of fourth graders parading up and down in front of their businesses every day. Well, really, there was no diversion of opinion. Our board voted unanimously to support the continued operation of the fourth grade program. And there's a very good reason for it. I've had the opportunity to experience firsthand the graduation ceremony of this program, and I've seen how our young people get so excited and so pumped up about their own background and their own city and the history of San Diego, and they have this real positive self-esteem, which I believe is extremely valuable, and so does our board. Also, I wanted to share with you that I had the opportunity to be on the founding committee of the Sheriff's Museum, the Educational Museum on San Diego Avenue. And part of the inspiration for that museum when we opened it was that we would be able to help serve and provide a positive experience for these fourth graders when they are learning about law enforcement. And we think it's a perfect age and a great opportunity for them to learn firsthand what the Sheriff's Department does in the history of law enforcement in San Diego. So that's one example. And currently, I'll give you another great example. We're working on developing and reestablishing the El Camino Real, linking Old Town proper with the Presidio. And part of our inspiration to do that is the fourth grade program and all of your students that come and experience the history in our community. So I know these budget decisions are difficult to make, but I wanted you to have this input, and we appreciate all the years that we've had this program in place. Hopefully it will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Stegner.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. My name is Richard Stegner. I'm the Executive Director of the Old Town San Diego Chamber of Commerce. And I'm just going to say a few comments regarding, I think, the program itself. You've heard before you all the pluses and minuses of what you think this program does. Mostly it's all very, very positive. But how can you put a price tag on 5 days worth of education about the history of this city and the state of California and the diversity? Where else can you get an education where you can get students from one school, from another school in another part of town, and you put them together for 5 days? How else can you teach them the cultural values of other students that are with that make part of this world that we are? There's 5 days that cannot be duplicated in a textbook. Sitting in the classroom, you're not going to know about the history of the city of San Diego, about the cultural and diversity of our community. Maybe we might get mentioned in a small paragraph from some history book that might get read. You cannot read what we do for 5 days in Old Town, right? And if you talk to the parents that are here and the students that are here, is K through 12, what does they remember about those 12 years of school? The time they spent 5 days in the Old Town program. That's what they remember. You can probably look around and see how many adults are in here that went through the program, and you'd ask them, what do you remember about the 12 years of your school? Fourth grade education program. So it's important, I think, that when you look at this program and you make a decision on the budget, is that how much is 5 days of education worth, and divide that by the number of students that go through the program, and you find that number is very small per student. And before you make a decision, I ask one request, that you call up Carla and make an appointment with her and spend a few hours in that program and see what the students are going through there and take the tour. And I think you will find that your decision is very easy to be made after you do that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. This concludes our public comments. At this time, we'll have at the end of the meeting. We will now have the Army JROTC Color Guard from San Diego High School present the colors. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence for one of our community leaders that just passed recently. Mr. Rudolph Johnson served in our community, not only in the neighborhood house, but for the Urban League. He helped a lot of people in the southeastern area of the city, as well as the entire city. So please, just a moment of silence for his passing. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know. Good afternoon. I am Sheila Jackson, President of the Board. I would like to welcome all present today and call the February 4th, 2009 regular meeting to order with all board members present. We hope the discussions and the decisions you observe today will give you a better understanding and appreciation of the important part you play in setting the course of education in San Diego Unified School District. Agendas for today's meeting are available at both entryways to the auditorium, at the information desk located near the press table, and on the internet at www.sandy.net. In addition to the broadcast of our meeting on ITV and the live webcast, we are using Board Docs, the web-based program to enhance governance, reduce the amount of paper as we generate, and to provide better communication with the public. The board requests that those individuals with pagers and cell phones please turn them off or put them on silent mode while you're in the auditorium, and that during the meeting, please enter and exit the auditorium by leaving the door at the door in the back or the door to the left in front of the press table. The board welcomes your comments in writing and during public testimony. Public testimony request forms are located near the tables to my right inside the front and back entrances to the auditorium. The board asks that speakers focus their comments on issues and not on individuals. Acceptance of public testimony requests will be closed as each agenda item is called and our discussion begins. Board members are very interested in your comments. The superintendent and his staff will be responding to your issues we hear today. If you wish to address the board today and your name is not on the blue sheet and you have not already submitted a request form. Please complete the form and submit it to Ms. Ward. Please exit the auditorium quietly. Thank you. Speakers on the agenda items will be called to speak on during the discussion of the agenda items. Agenda items are limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per consent or action item, allowing for a maximum of 10 minutes per opposing viewpoints, and a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. No deferral of time. Non-agenda item testimony was heard at 5 p.m. and will also be heard at the end of the meeting. Testimony is limited to a maximum of 15 minutes per item or 3 minutes per speaker. No deferral of time is allowed. In addition to that, today, I just want to read a statement. We have a public budget survey, as you heard comments about our budget given earlier. As the board continues our deliberations on the budget and our work to determine what budget cuts will be made for the next fiscal year, it is important that we hear the input from public and our parents. To solicit this input, we'll be posting a web survey on the district website tomorrow that asks for opinions about proposed cuts that the board is currently reviewing. This survey is intended for the public and our parents, and it's not directed toward district employees represented by employee unions. We recognize that our employees are represented by their respective employee groups and that they have that vehicle through which to express their opinions. The board operates under the Robert Rules of Order, which confer upon the governing board body and the audience participation in the proceeding in a civil and courteous manner. At this time, the ASB representatives will introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on in your high schools, both academically and socially.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Greer, and community members present today. My name is Jose Bojorquez, president of the Council of ASB Presidents and also president of ASB at Kearney High School. Today, academically at my school, we are right now, the sophomores are getting ready for CASI. In ASB, we're advertising the importance of CASI and why it's important for them to pass CASI. Also in ASB, we're working on our dance, our gym dance. We haven't had a successful gym dance in 6 years at my school. So we're actually, this is our third time trying this year to have a gym dance at in our gym. So hopefully that comes through. We're also working on our small school basketball tournament. Kearney High School is a complex for small schools, so by having a small school tournament, it unites our small schools. And that's what's happening at my school. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Terry Greer. My name is Connor Cray from University City High School. I play guitar, and I actually just got done with the golf practice. At my school currently, we just carried out a successful winter pep rally. We had a dunk contest with the lights off. Our next step is to move on to the ASB ball, which we're working on, hoping to get about 400 kids at the dance to set a record. And then we're moving on to our blood drive. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. Mr. DeBeck, please. Item B3.
Okay, we're having, excuse me while I get myself in order. I had the privilege of seeing a special demonstration at Barnard where we have our Chinese magnet program, and I think Principal Park is here in the area. Where is he? Oh, there he is. The principal conducted a magnificent Chinese New Year event. Not all of it, I guess, will happen today, but it was real exciting, and so we're going to be entertained by the Chinese immersion kids from Barnard Elementary. While they're lining up, this program is a magnet program, and we have each year we're going to expand it one more grade so that kids will have a full experience all the way up to the 8th grade of Chinese. So we expect to have some very fluent students as a result of the high quality instruction they're getting there. We brought them a lot of great materials from China, and they have expert teachers, so it's and a really terrific principal wherever he is, and they're really excited over there. It's a fun thing to watch, and I'm sure you'll all enjoy their performance.
你好，我叫 Eddie， 我们是 Barnard 小学的学生。My name is Eddie. We are from Barnard Elementary School. We love learning Chinese. We are going to perform a song for you. 我很快乐 I am happy.
You need to spend about 3 hours a day over there. Oh, God, you know, I think right, this kid is out. I did that in China. You know, your mind says, "Oh, this is a foreign language. I'll say what I know."
I spent some time in Japan, and when I came back and I talked to people in Spanish, I'd say hi, and they say see.
Okay. Thank you very much from Barnard. That was very nice. In case you want to remember while we're here. Thank you. At this time, and as people are leaving, I ask you to leave quietly and hold your seats as you stand up. Thank you. I'm going to add, we're going to move to item C. Item C is report of closed session actions and superintendent informational report. Dr. Greer?
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, in closed session by a 5-0 vote, the board approved Anna Biffle as a Director of Program Improvement School Support, B. Fernandez as Program Manager Parent Outreach, Elizabeth Castillo Duval, Child Development Administrator, and approved the transfer of Tanya Belston from Oak Park Elementary to Dewey Elementary. The board also approved the non-reelection of 5 second-year probationary teachers and the dismissal of 2 basketball coaches. That concludes the personnel action. Would you like for me to go ahead and move forward with the report? This week, the staff has been extremely busy, as you might imagine, trying to comb through our budget and find other areas for budget considerations, budget reductions considerations for the board. But in addition to that, we have been working on several grants that have some great promise for the district. A Safe Schools grant in the amount of $9 million that's due within the next few weeks, and a workforce development summer employment grant valued at $2.7 million, in which we could employ high school students from some of our disadvantaged high schools to have summer employment. Hopefully it would carry over, and we're very excited about that. We also are in the final stages of working on a proposal and a partnership with SDG&E, which would provide a 20% reduction in the utility bills of our free and reduced meal students. And so we're really excited about that and are trying to work out the details, and staff's doing a good job. It's a busy time for us all. It's a stressful time with the budget being what it is, but we got a good group of folks who are working very hard. Madam President, that's an update for what's happening this week.
Thank you very much. The next item that we have is to adopt the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any questions or comments? Please vote. Passes 5-0. The next item is the E item, and this is a board consent item. We have one item there, which is approval of minutes for regular meetings, October 14th. It can be October 14th, 09.
It is.
09?
08.
Okay, 08.
Well, these are a series of meetings, 14th and the 28th.
Oh, yes, but it's 08, not 09. October 14th and 28th, 09, and special meetings November 19th and December 2008.
Move approval.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Second. That's corrected to 2008 for both.
Yes, it is.
Both Octobers, yes.
Okay, that passes 5-0. The next we will move to F items, which is operational items reserved for the board. F1, informational reports. Mr. DeBeck, let's start with you.
I'm going to pass.
Mr. Barrera?
Oh, sorry, just 2 quick things. First of all, I did get a chance to get out to the Old Town program last week and spend a little time with Carla and the teachers and the students there. And I would really, I know that our veterans up here have seen that program. But I would definitely recommend everybody gets out and has a chance to see it. The level of engagement of students in history, as a history major, was exciting to see. And the history of this city was really exciting to see. It's a fantastic program, and I just thank the folks out there for spending a little time on it. Yep.
Ms. Nakamura?
Yeah, I just went to a conference on learning and the brain that I wanted to share with board members in more depth at another time. But 2 of the books that I brought back, one of the speakers really was right on point with our mission statement, where all students will graduate with the skills, motivation, curiosity, and resilience. He's written a book called Raising Resilient Children, Fostering Strength, Hope, and Optimism in Your Child. And I think it is, he was just a wonderful speaker, and I would hope that we could, bring him to the district, possibly to come and speak. Just very inspiring with how important it is for kids to really understand how much we care about them before they start learning. So I'd recommend this book, but also Brain Rules, which is also, it's a fairly recent book by a neuroscientist actually named John Medina. 12 Principles for Surviving and Thriving at Home, Work, and School. And I think my favorite rule is number 4. We don't pay attention to boring things, so I won't talk too much longer. But he's really exercise, wiring, attention, all sorts of really good things in this book, and very easy to read, and the speaker was really very wonderful. I also would like to have put on the agenda for next time. I've been talking about board priorities for Proposition S, and I would like us to have sometime, I know Dr. Evans sent me an email saying that he would support me in this, but have it something, talk about a chance for us to really sit down and talk about what are the board priorities. When I went back and looked at the ad hoc task force recommendations for Proposition S, when their last thing, one of the most important things they said was that we really need to make sure that we have the priorities straight for the bond and that we don't have this, run away from us. So I would like at the next board meeting to have some time, or maybe it should be in a retreat context where we really get a chance to sit down and talk about what we think should happen with this bond and when. So thank you.
Dr. Evans?
Thank you. As I've been saying before, I've been having meetings in the community. This district is just huge, way too huge, so I've been trying to break it down into smaller neighborhood meetings because I think that's where we can really make the changes. Last night we had a meeting at Claremont High School for the Claremont and Madison clusters. Next Monday, March 2nd, for Mira Mesa, it will be at the Mira Mesa Town Council meeting at the Mira Mesa Public Library at 7 p.m. And then on March 9th at University City High School for the UC cluster at 4:30. And there are a lot of important topics that come up here. People that agree with me, people who disagree with me about votes that I have made. One of the hot topics that certainly come up in the Claremont area is the issue of school closures and the need for following proper procedures. And I would just add that the important thing in looking at anything like that is really community planning and input rather than it just coming from the top, but a community really deciding what it needs and how to manage its own schools. We've covered a lot of topics in terms of improving our schools and specifically with the budget. It's also an opportunity to clear up misinformation, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again, in terms of certain flyers and so forth out in the mail. I don't have the money to do that, so I'll just say it here right now, that from the beginning, in terms of Proposition S, I have been supportive of both union and non-union contractors being able to participate in the bidding, and we are pursuing a project stabilization agreement so that we can have good buildings, but also that we can benefit our local families by having local San Diego people work on the jobs is a high priority. And also because we have a big emphasis in high school on decreasing the dropout rate, we really want to look at how we can tie our career technical programs with apprenticeship programs so our kids can graduate into good jobs. Finally, the other issue is in terms of meeting with, besides parents and others, with meeting with teachers. And I know that teachers have really been weighed down. I've been talking to them through this year in terms of a lot of paperwork, particularly with the level of testing, benchmark testing, inquiry, and a lot of other things. And I've strongly been an advocate if we cannot have a system of test, teach, test, that we actually have to have some time to devote to instruction. And we've discussed this some here on the board and with the superintendent. But Ms. Nakamura is bringing up something for the next meeting, and one of the things I want to put on the agenda for the next meeting is really, and I'll discuss this with the superintendent and with the teachers, but is to put on there a moratorium on testing. We cannot get away from the federally and district mandated tests, but we really need to stop, put a hold, step back. And this does not mean that the tests would not continue, but that there would be more discretion on the part of the teachers as far as what's useful and not useful for instruction, so we can get it right, and we can talk more about that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, and I just wanted to remind everyone that our next budget meeting is this coming Saturday, the 28th, from 8 to noon, right here in the auditorium. Thank you. We'll now move on to FO2. This is a resolution in the matter of supporting the of support for enforcing California Health and Safety Code, Section 11014.5, which defines drug paraphernalia, and Section 11364.7 provides penalties for sale. Mr. DeBeck and I are supporting this motion. Mr. DeBeck, can you read the resolution, please?
Well, there's a long resolution, which I'll try to read as quickly as I can. I think it's self-explanatory. Whereas marijuana was found to be the drug of choice for 74% of clients in the San Diego County Alcohol Drug Treatment Data System under 18 years of age, and whereas marijuana is more often smoked than tobacco in a 30-day period for these kids, whereas teenage marijuana users' odds of dropping out of school are more than twice that of a non-user, and whereas retailers selling drug paraphernalia provide easy access for youth, and whereas retailers selling drug paraphernalia facilitate, normalize, and trivialize drug use, and whereas retailers selling drug paraphernalia undermine efforts to teach youth that marijuana is a dangerous and harmful drug, and whereas at least 50 retailers throughout the city of San Diego are selling illegal drug paraphernalia as identified in the California State Health and Safety Code Section 11014.5. Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Education of the San Diego Unified School District hereby requests that elected officials of the city of San Diego enforce California's laws regarding drug paraphernalia and stop the sale of these harmful and unhealthy items. And added to this agenda item for those that have access on the net is not only is a listing and a map showing the actual locations where drug paraphernalia is being sold. So I move that we send this resolution forward to the officials of the city of San Diego and the county, actually, to enforce California's laws regarding drug paraphernalia. It's already illegal, but basically I would say that my impression as I walk or drive by some of these places is enforcement is very light.
So moved.
Can you second?
Seconded, I can second.
Okay, we have two speakers on this, Kathy Lippert and Judy Strain. Hi.
Hi. Judy is not here this evening.
Okay.
So, on behalf of Say San Diego and the Harm Work Group, I would like to thank President Jackson and Board Member DeBeck for bringing this resolution forward. Drug paraphernalia retailers claim that their products are for tobacco, but state law says it's drug paraphernalia and illegal to sell. Along with pipes, bongs, stash kits, and scales, they sell chemicals to mask drug users' use of drugs so they can pass a drug screen. The presence of these shops in our communities provide easy access to drug paraphernalia and promotes a pro-drug use message that trivializes and normalizes drug use. 44% of juvenile arrestees in San Diego County tested positive for marijuana. 93% of them were not arrested for using drugs, but for crimes against people and property. Educators, parents, and responsible adults tell children drug use is dangerous and illegal, and the selling of drug paraphernalia undermines and counters those messages. People are often surprised to hear that there are 2 state laws making the sale of drug paraphernalia illegal. So how did some 94 shops around the county of San Diego spring up? Laws were not being enforced. In recent months, that has changed. The district attorneys, city attorneys, and law enforcement in South Bay, North County, and East County have notified head shops they were violating state laws. The retailers were told to remove the paraphernalia or have it removed for them. A few complied, many did not. Their inventories were confiscated. Where enforcement operations have taken place, customers are now being directed to the city of San Diego for their bongs, roach clips, and synthetic urine. Community planning boards, town councils have sent letters to city council members, Chief Lansdowne, Mayor Sanders, and city attorney requesting that state drug paraphernalia laws be enforced. The San Diego Unified School District will be a most powerful and welcome partner in these efforts. Thank you very much.
And thank you for bringing it to our attention. I think that it is very befitting that we take any action that we can to help protect our students, even when they're not on our school sites, but in their communities as well. Are there any other board member comments or, okay, please vote. The resolution passes 5-0. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the resolution to adopt the Public Agency Retirement Services Supplemental Retirement Plan for eligible employees. This is for the Paris Group.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved in second. Any discussion? Okay, please vote. The next item is a request to delay the elimination of marksmanship training for the 09-10 school year. In our folders, we will find a memo.
Move approval.
We have a move approval. Is there a second? Okay. I'm going to pass the...
I will second it.
Thank you. Okay, so
Save you
moved and
trouble.
seconded. We have several speakers to this, and so we would, if there's any board comments, we'll do one round now, or you want public speakers, fine?
One public
Okay, very
speakers,
good.
yeah.
Okay, public speakers, here we go. Evelyn McKinsky, Roy McKinney, I'm sorry, McKinney, Ms. McKinney too. Pat Hum, and Elizabeth Avalos. So that was McKinney as well, Evelyn McKinney. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Evelyn McKinney. I live at 4355 Herfano Avenue. My credentials for coming to speak to you tonight. I have 50 years of teaching in San Diego City Schools. 30 years retirement, and the rest as a substitute. I know the curriculum. I know what has been going on in the city school system. I have 3 general credentials that allows me to teach from kindergarten through senior in high school. And as a general credential, I can teach any and all subjects. I was not here at your last board meeting, but it has been brought to my attention that when you were discussing the JROTC, there were 3 items of concern that was brought about by some of you board members that I would like to address tonight. Number 1 was the fact of, let me look at my notes here a minute. Number 1 was they tend to lead the students into gangs, drugs, alcohol, and other things that none of us want our children involved in. These students that you are talking about now in the rifle teams, they have a very focused attention, and that is upon what they are in competition for. I have been a teacher that's been directly involved in speech competition, band competition, choral competition, flag competition. I have grandchildren that have been involved in other kinds of competition, including the rifle and NROTC. I want you to know that these students that are involved in these particular centered activities of this nature are so focused on their particular thing they're dealing with. They have no time to get involved in all these things that somebody seems to be worried about. Not only that, but they have to maintain good grades in their basic subjects to stay in the NROTC or speech or music or whatever it is. If their grades drop, they are not allowed in these programs. In other words, you have the top students in the schools in these particular areas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron McKinney, followed by Pat Hum, Elizabeth Avelas, and Monica Sadana, maybe. Okay.
Superintendent Greer, President Jackson, members of the board, my name is Ron McKinney. I live at 4355 Herfano Avenue, San Diego, 92117. I'm here as a person speaking for the JROTC. I am a retired military man. I had the privilege of having a number of men under me, and one of the first things I asked them, do you have any experience in JROTC or ROTC? If I got a yes, those were the ones that stood behind me. The others stood beside me. I wanted to make sure that what was back here was being safe. These kids, and I don't know how many of you have visited the rifle ranges. I have. I know what goes on. I know how disciplined they are. And it would be very difficult to create any sort of destruction with the ammunition that they use. A .22 bullet is much larger than the pellets that these kids use. And as I said, they're very disciplined. I would very much urge you to keep the marksmanship program in the city schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Please just wave your hand. Pat Hom, followed by Elizabeth Avelas, and then Monica Sedano.
Good evening, Dr. Greer, President Jackson, and members of the board. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Pat Hom. I reside at 1340 Tourmaline Street, 92109, and I am here in support of the request to delay implementation of eliminating marksmanship training, and for the basic reason that the elimination was brought up to remove a successful program without incident or cause and without proper notification to those who are directly affected by the removal. I feel that it would be only fair for the students involved and the parents thereof to be notified in advance of a decision such as this. And also, I would expect that a decision like this would be met with some incident or activity of negative behavior, which has not occurred. I have looked at the law of the California Code. I have also reviewed the zero tolerance policy. Neither one of these documents mandate anything about JROTC marksmanship or civilian marksmanship, which is taught in many schools throughout the nation, not only our state. They do, however, provide for these exemptions. Also, I've noted on your budget analysis, great job, by the way. I don't know who prepared this, but they did a wonderful job. One of your avenues of revenue, which there are not many under your circumstances being budgeted by the state, you notice increase of 0.5% in attendance district-wide. I would like to say that students, 81 students at Mission Bay High School, choose to take JROTC for the marksmanship. That is a choice. It is an elective. There are no other electives at any other high school, and I would gather to say in all of California, that has that rate of membership in an elective program. When you want student buy-in and you want to increase your revenue, then you have to have your enrichment programs. My son is a junior at Mission Bay High School. He went through the marksmanship program. He can testify to the safety of that program. But not only that, Michael doesn't go to school every day for English. Loves his teacher, but that's not why he goes. He doesn't go for math, for sure. But what he does get excited about is the jazz program at Mission Bay. What he does get excited about is JROTC. He intends to be a firefighter, and that program helped him make that choice. I press that this will not be removed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Elizabeth, followed by Monica.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Elizabeth Avalos, and I am the member of the varsity air rifle team at San Diego High School, and I am currently a junior at the School of Leeds. I am here to let you in on some of my opinions and my teammates' opinions on banning marksmanship in the San Diego Unified School District. First off, I'm sure that you know how safe this sport is, because honestly, what could possibly be so violent about aiming at a bullseye target? Is this honestly more violent than risking your body while tackling someone in football or wrestling with somebody, or risking to break an ankle or hurt an ankle while you're playing soccer? We don't take the rifles out of campus, and we don't walk around with them. So I don't understand the perception that marksmanship sends a wrong message when more than half the students on the campus don't even know that there is a rifle team. I think it's unfair that you based your last vote at the meeting on February 10th. You based your vote on only 2 of the school's opinions, Lincoln High and Mission Bay High, without even considering the other 11 schools that there is in the district and what we think about marksmanship. A little background information on my team is that 2 years ago, my freshman year and first year in the varsity air rifle team, we won the gold medal, which is right here, I'm wearing it, for the state of California. And last year, I placed 3rd place in the state of California, ranking 12th in the nation. I was hoping to get this again this year, but because marksmanship is banned, it is no longer possible. All of the hard work and dedication that I put into the sport every day for 3 years doesn't even matter anymore. For 3 years, my teammates and I have been building up on improving our skills to apply for a scholarship in our senior year, and now what? Are you saying that I basically spent 3 years of my life for nothing, so now I have no future in college? Marksmanship has helped me focus in my everyday life activities up until it was banned. What you don't know is that for some shooters, this is their life, and this is what they look forward to at the end of a long day. I know for sure that for me, this sport played a big therapy role in my life when I was trying to find somewhere to sleep about a month ago. Just like they say not to judge a book by its cover, I fully believe that 3 of you voted blindly because you didn't want to take the time to sit through a match to see what actually goes on. So with this said, I'd like to invite you, Mr. Barrera, to come visit our range so you can see the huge impact that your vote caused on our team. And all of these medals that I'm wearing here are a special and important example that marksmanship is a good sport and you can actually accomplish something. And you can be proud of yourself because you put a whole bunch of dedication into it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Monica, please just wave your hands if you agree. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Monica Sedano. I am currently a junior at the School of Science and Technology at San Diego High School. And this is my 3rd year in JROTC on the rifle team, and I'm also this year's captain. First of all, I would like to clarify, with all due respect to Mr. DeBeck, the amount of PT that we do in marksmanship. Our season starts in January, but our physical training started in October, where we ran a mile at practice and occasionally did grass drills and wind sprints in the range. We even have special exercises designed especially to target the muscles that you need to use while shooting. Every day after practice, we do 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups. And like in any high school sport, we do have to maintain our grades to keep a 2.0 grade point average. JROTC marksmanship, a sport safer than football, 99% mental. A sport that teaches concentration, dedication, relaxation, goal setting, and teamwork. A program that has been a victim of misunderstanding and ignorance. I believe that your vote that you guys did last week was basically targeted against just an audience that was emotional other than just facts. Rifle team spirits have been crushed, shooters of all ages devastated, an Olympic sport that we have dedicated our lives to. The sport that has helped us and motivated us through high school is now terminated. I can't help but feel both angry and devastated. It's like a part of my life has been stripped from me. Since when can anybody make such a decision without even considering both sides of a story, or even considering us as victims? It angers me to see my rifle team members' faces of shock. They can't believe that this sport is now terminated after 3 years of hard work, that we have been dedicating our days every day after school and practice to come in and shoot. I don't understand what kind of people would protest against something they have no idea about. JROTC has been a root of growth for many students and has given many opportunities to students from all walks of life. It has created many outstanding citizens and Americans and still continues to. It has motivated many students to care about academics, and it has given us a second family, which now, slowly, piece by piece, is being torn apart. Thank you.
Thank you. Esmeralda Rodriguez. Kafina Sandoval Enrique Hernandez, Ashley Garrett, and Juan Beltran. Just so you know, I'm doing 5. Please don't clap. Please just wave your hands if you agree. I don't have my gavel tonight. I don't know where it is, but I use my shoe if I have to. Thank you. Just wave your hands if you agree. Wave your flag. Thank you. Well, I didn't have my gavel. I'm saying that now so you can hear me. You couldn't hear me over them, but you can hear me now. So please just wave your hands. Thank you. Esmeralda? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Esmeralda B. Rodriguez Nava. I attend Memorial Academy and I am in 6th grade, and I am also in Mecha and representing the Memorial's Eagles basketball teams for boys and girls and soccer teams for boys and girls. I am here today because I am appalled that after we agreed to ban both the weapons training and shooting ranges on February 10, 2009, some of the school board members want to ignore the fact that we the people had a vote to see if the weapons training and shooting ranges would stay at our schools. And as far as I know, the majority voted no, that the weapons training and shooting ranges were no longer going to stay at our high schools. We also agreed to get rid of them as soon as possible. But as far as I'm concerned, some of the school board members want to wait until next year, and that is 4 to 5 months from now. That to me is not as soon as possible, and I think I speak for everyone who was here on February 10th and everyone who agrees with me that we need to get rid of this now, not later, but now. Because the more these kids know about how to use a gun, the situation gets more dangerous regarding gangs and violence at our high schools. And I know nobody wants that, because the situation is bad enough already. I respectfully disagree with everyone who thinks that we should keep the weapons training and shooting ranges at our high schools. So please, help me and my entire community to get rid of the weapons training and shooting ranges, because they do nothing but help these kids learn how to handle a gun, and God forbid they ever have to use one. So what are we waiting for? Let's do this. Let's get rid of this now. Let's not wait any longer. So now, I would like to thank you all for listening, and good night.
Thank you. Kafina Sandoval, Enrique Hernandez, Ashley Garrett.
Members of the board, good afternoon. My name is Karina Sandoval. Without any time to celebrate, we find ourselves here again for the same purpose. I would like to remind Ms. Sheila Jackson of the promise she made to the Lincoln students. You said you would respect the decision made on February 10th, even though you were in complete disagreement, but your actions show otherwise. It's important to remind everyone here today that we're not against the JROTC program, but the weapon training that we're against. Why wait until something similar to the Columbine High School massacres in Colorado occurred before taking any action against it? Your decision should not be based on whether accidents have occurred because of weapon training, but in trying to avoid this type of situations. At our previous attempts to convince you to remove the weapons training, we were representing many different schools, not only one. Meaning that we are not only the only school trying to eliminate the weapon training. I strongly believe that since the decision was already made to remove the weapon training, then the Board of Education should follow through with the decision. It is absurd to try to change the decision when only a minority of the JROTC students participate in the weapon training program. We will not leave here today until we have received an answer from you guys. Will you or will you not remove the weapon training? And if so, when? If you do plan to postpone, you should reaffirm the decision that you was made on February 10th to discontinue marksmanship training. Thank you.
Enrique Hernandez, Ashley Garrett.
Good afternoon, my name is Enrique Hernandez. I'm a student at Memorial Academy in the 7th grade. And I'm also here responding to Memorial Academy's MECHA, the girls and boys basketball team and the girls and boys soccer team. I'm here to talk about getting rid of shooting range and weapons training in schools. First of all, I think it's a waste of school money because the school should be spent on school supplies like new textbooks and science materials. 2 weeks ago, we agreed on eliminating shooting ranges and weapon training immediately. But now the school board wants to wait for next year? I think RTC weapons training should be canceled immediately because it brings more violence to our communities. Okay, who here takes their anger on something? Who takes their anger on something? Raise your hand. Takes their anger on something. Okay, well I do, but not by shooting. I have lost 2 family members. One of them was like a dad to me. Also, what do you think of having your dad being shot at? Fortunately, he's allowed to tell a story. But how many of us will be able to tell a story? How many of us will have lost a friend, a cousin, dad, mom, sister, brother, due to guns and violence? Even though I'm not in high school where URTC weapons takes place, the violence is also affecting our communities because a lot of teenagers are getting killed day by day. As a school board, what do you think? What do you want for us? Do you want our education taken away because of a gun? Or you want us to get a college education? Remove shooting ranges and weapons training immediately. Thank you.
Ashley Garrett, followed by Juan Beltran.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Ashley Garreau, and I'm a senior at Mission Bay High School. I was here not 2 weeks ago when the decision was made by a 3-2 vote that shooting ranges be banned from San Diego Unified District schools, which confuses me on why we are here again debating an issue that has already been resolved. It is astonishing how much disrespect some members of the board show towards the students' choice and the efforts we have put into getting rid of these shooting ranges. To my knowledge, it is in the best interest of a school board member to act on not as what is best for a minority of a group, but for the majority of the children who attend the schools and of the community. And on Tuesday, February 10th, the majority had already spoken. There shall be no shooting ranges on any high school in this district as long as we are all here to protest it. I'm a part of MECHA at my high school, and we are not single-minded, unintelligent, emotional students on a warpath against JORTC. I have friends in the program, and after college, I have plans to maybe join the Marines. My great-grandfather was in World War I and World War II, and my grandfather was in Vietnam. But in all that planning, I never thought, the thought never crossed my mind that in order to be prepared to go into the Marines, I would have to learn marksmanship after my IB biology, like in a period after my IB biology course and before my AVID class. I want to make it clear to all of the board members that we don't want these shooting ranges at our schools. We are the students. We are the ones that walk the halls and learn in those classrooms. And what we want should matter. The military trains their recruits on how to shoot and fight when they join, and it's not the obligations of the schools to do it for them. At ages 13 to 18, we hardly know who we are as people, let alone what career we want to choose. School should be a place of mental growth, and we should be learning how to think for ourselves and help our communities, not a place where we have to be programmed for combat and marksmanship. I find it sad that the only joy and the only reason that people go to school is so that they can learn how to shoot at a target, so they can win a medal for it. Why not read a book? Why not go to a park? Why not do something that is, challenging for your mind? Why not try to get into college, something that is actually challenging to do? Yes, and JORT, I'm not against the JORTC at all. And yes, I can be emotional on this subject because it is something that I feel strongly about. Thank you guys for your time.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Juan Beltran. I'm a senior in Mission Bay High School. I come today for you, the board of members, to establish my opinion regarding why you shouldn't change your decision on the shooting ranges. Shooting ranges are not educational, do not prepare you for college. If schools really want to prepare their students for college, there is opportunity to offer students courses such as AVID, IB, or AP. I want to make clear that we are not here to eliminate JROTC. We are only asking for the removal of shooting ranges from school campuses. For many schools, you must have good grades to have privilege to play in any sport. If marksmanship is considered a sport, then its participants should be required to have good grades. At Mission Bay, I don't see the same policy being applied. Therefore, I shouldn't be considered a sport. In that case, the Board of Education should spend a little money given by the government in educational needs for the youth. We should be educating our youth in subjects that will enable them to go to college or university. Teaching students how to load and fire a gun is morally wrong and viewed negative upon many communities. We, the students, should be grateful if you board of members can make a final decision and not change your mind in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Dukes, followed by Natalie Becker, followed by Andrew Kelly, followed by Tom Cunningham, and Jacob Erickson. I'm sorry, and before you start, Jose wanted to speak. Thank you. Yeah. Very good.
Hello, hi, my name is Cadet Ensign Dukes. I'm a junior at Sarah High School, and I can't believe some of the stuff I just heard. For one, to even be on rifle team, for any team in ROTC, you have to have at least a 2.0. To be an officer, which I am, you have to at least have a 2.5. All right, that's just outrageous. For two, ROTC is a choice. You don't. Okay, we can't. Half the kids I know who have gone into ROTC chose to go into the military. Most of the kids that I do know went off to college on other scholarships, not on ROTC. ROTC, yes, it does teach you military customs, you know. It may teach you marksmanship and stuff like that, but it's a choice you make. You don't. And another thing is, one of the first things we do is safety. I'm a member of the marksmanship team. I had to take a safety test before I could even get on that team. If you do not pass the safety test to a certain percentage, you cannot even be on the team. So, to say that we stress gang violence, no, not at all. I've also lost family relatives from gunfire. I'm from Detroit. I've lost a cousin. I've lost numerous family members. And I'm still here supporting the marksmanship team. The marksmanship team is one of the teams that gave me something to do. I mean, because I remember before I even came to the school, I just moved here from Hampton, Virginia, because I'm a kid I'm a military brat, I guess you could say, you know. And before then, I didn't really care much for school, you know. I had bad grades and everything. But then I found out about these teams in ROTC, and in order to get on these teams, I had to keep a certain amount of grades, and since then, I've held above a 3.0 average. And I plan to do that through the rest of my high school career, whether it be for armed drill team, unarmed drill team, or marksmanship team. And I would just, for like somebody to respect my choice to join ROTC and do marksmanship. We don't just let anybody handle these rifles. Some of the highlighted words on this mission statement, those are the key things in ROTC: to lead, participate, succeed, and to graduate. Also skills and motivation. And from the way we are anti-marksmanship people put it, we don't have any of these skills. Most of the kids in ROTC have these skills and have mastered these skills. I know because I've met some of them, and most of them that I have met are great citizens. And, you know, I would just like them to be recognized, not. Okay, but anyway, thank you for your time.
Natalie Becker.
President.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Becker, and I am appalled at hearing this repeatedly, that we support gang violence of marksmanship and weapon training as an at-risk youth. Spending Christmas scared because there are SWAT team members outside my house and saying that I could be possibly one of those causes. It's an insult of everything that we trained, everything that we instill in our cadets. For them to say that we are supporting this, we have CBIs. it says basically that the rifle is unloaded. We tell them not to point it. It's one of our main reasons so stuff like this does not happen. Every time Columbine happens, it's an insult to us because everybody integrates us with them. It's like a stereotype. I cannot understand how you can connect those two things. It's the thing that, it's the training in order for us not to do this. I don't know how you can connect the things. I can't understand it. It's baffling. Before I got into ROTC, I was a 1.33 student. I did not care about school. I did not see the point. From where I lived and what I saw, what can you see? There is no way out. And then I got into the ROTC, the marksmanship team. And the way you can just focus on that, forget all your problems, and then them say that they want to take this away from us, at least give us a heads up. I am a senior. I did not get to finish my season. Thank you.
Andrew Kelly, Tom Cunningham, and Jacob Erickson.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Andrew Kelly, and I am the brigade captain for the San Diego Unified School District, ROTCs. I'm not here to talk today about repealing the ban against marksmanship. I'll be back with my 1,300 friends for that later. But for today, I'd just like you to think about delaying that action, at least for the rest of the year. I talked to people from all 13 schools that have JROTCs in San Diego. I talked to all these kids. I talked to all the air rifle cadets. I myself am not part of the team, but I see these cadets who, they've worked, like many of my fellow cadets before me have said, they've worked for the past 3 years, all this year. We've had kids that have been pumped up to go to regionals, even to go to nationals. They've been practicing, and now they feel completely cut off at the knees. To not let cadets finish at least this year of training, learning self-control, learning the skill that they really relish, I think is something that is truly wrong. I just think that it needs to be pushed back so that our cadets can have a little bit more time to recover instead of just being sent reeling from a decision that gets rid of something that keeps them in school, keeps them interested in coming, and teaches them a skill that, well, you wouldn't really learn anywhere else, and you learn all the marksmanship, you learn the safety, you get the leadership of the team through the team captains, vice captains, all that. And just to see that obliterated after one meeting and just have it go away in a few days, and suddenly those kids are just left hanging. They had no warning, and they have nothing to do now. So I think that it should just be pushed back, at least until the end of the year, so that these kids can really do what they enjoy and at least have a little bit of closure so that they can finish this season and then maybe recover later if truly the ban persists, which I still do not believe that it should. So that's all that I really have to say today. Thank you.
Tom Cunningham, Jacob Erickson, Xavier McGregor.
Good evening. My name is Tom Cunningham. I'm the Navy Junior ROT Senior Teacher at Point Loma High School. I'm here tonight. I'm filling in for my teaching partner, who happens to be the coach of the marksmanship team, Jack Patagi, but he came up ill. So I decided to come and just say a few words. First, about our marksmanship team. First thing I'd like to say is I keep the books for all the junior ROTC programs there at Point Loma High School. And I can tell you that the San Diego Unified School District has never spent a dime on any marksmanship training at Point Loma High School. Second thing is, and this has been brought up by a couple of the other speakers, marksmanship is an Olympic sport. It teaches self-discipline. It teaches the value of hard work, leadership, teamwork. And the final thing, and this has been reiterated also by some of the other speakers, the punchline is that you rip the hearts out of the students. There's not a lot of skin off of my back, my knees or whatever, but the students midstream in the season are definitely devastated. I can testify to that. Just a very few words about junior ROTC in general. It's time tested. It's economical. It's exactly in concert with that mission statement over there. It's not militaristic. It is not recruiting into the armed forces. What we're all about is leadership and citizenship development. That's what we do. I do not get paid extra money if I recruit people into the military. I do not get a better evaluation from Miss Amelson if I get people into the military. That is not what we do. That is not what we're all about. One last thing is our program, I believe, is especially well suited for those students that are right on the brink of almost falling completely out of high school. And I'm here to say that I'm very proud that my teaching partner, First Sergeant Jack Patagi, has personally brought some of those students back. And the reason that they're in school is because of his hard work. Thank you.
Jacob Erickson, Xavier McGregor.
Good afternoon. I'm Jacob Erickson at and I live at 10106 Kepler Drive, 92124. And I am representing Kearney High School and their marksmanship team. The main goal of the JRHC program is to motivate young people to become better citizens. That is the first thing that students learn in this program, is how to respect one another. JRHC uses drilling as well as a combination of various leadership skills in order to teach and allow students to demonstrate their leadership abilities as well as become recognized by them. JRHC is composed of many teams and staff members that are formed by the students themselves. One of these outstanding and fun teams is the marksmanship team. Marksmanship teaches about rifle care and safety precautions. Students don't see marksmanship as a violent sport, but as a way to further perfect their abilities. In order to make it on the team, the students must first undergo a marksmanship course and pass safety regulations test. If they were to fail one question, and I repeat that, one question, they would not be accepted onto the team, let alone further be trained by the Army instructor or by the JRHC instructors. The marksmanship team and training is strictly supervised by professional and official accredited instructors. In doing so, the team members are taught how to respect a firearm, as well as stamina and self-discipline. This is why I believe the ban should be delayed, or better yet, removed. Thank you for your time.
Xavier McGregor, Shakana Shabazz, David Dominguez.
Hello, my name is Xavier McGregor. I'm a student at Lincoln High School. I'm also a member of ARSO and MECHA. Today, I am here to stress the fact that we are not here against the JROTC program. We are here against the marksmanship ranges on our campuses, and we are here against this decision to delay the decision you already previously made on February 10th, which did not occur in one meeting, but we've had hundreds of students who've been fighting for over a year on this issue. And we believe that this vast majority of students who have come here time and time after again to show what they and their communities would like to happen at their schools is like, I'm sorry, but these students have been struggling for over a year, and to say that just all this occurred in one meeting and to not recognize these students' struggle and to not honor your decision And in 2 weeks' time, to start to reverse all that they fought for is just like beyond anything that I can imagine. I don't understand how you can respect their decision yet reverse it so quickly. I would also like to say that we are not here against the fact that injuries are caused in these marksmanship training programs, okay? We know that they have a superb safety record, but that is not why we are here. We know that sports are dangerous, but sports on campus do not encourage gun violence. They do not show you how to shoot a weapon at a target. And targets can be anything. They can be a person's body. We are here to talk on how these ranges reinforce violence in our communities. They may be like maintained, the guns themselves may not be able to kill, but it's the simple symbol that we do not stand for that. We do not want any type of violence in our community. We do not want any type of symbol that stands for violence in our community. And that is why we are here. We're not here against JROTC. We're not here against their safety records or like how they bring their GPAs up. It shouldn't be an issue on whether, first off, it shouldn't be something, you shouldn't come to school to shoot. That shouldn't be the reason you come to school. I've heard many arguments on that, and I just don't understand how you're happy about the fact that you're bringing kids to school because they want to take this anger out. And it's just confusing that you guys do not respect the decision you made when hundreds of students, community members, parents, teachers, faculty have come here constantly to reaffirm what they want in their community.
Thank you very much. Sakina Shabazz. David Dominguez, Edward Ochoa, and Ian Kelly.
Hello, my name is Sakina Shabazz. I'm a sophomore at Lincoln High School, and I just want to reply to one of the comments that one of the ROTC students said, is that our decisions were based off emotional effects, and I believe that the only emotional effect that would have affected our decision to do this is the fact that we have had 2 students from Lincoln High School and 1 student from Mission Bay High School lose their lives to gun violence. So I think that would be the only emotional effect that would influence our decision. Again, my name is Sakina Shabazz, and I'm up here representing the students from Lincoln High School and the students who have relentlessly fought to get these ranges out of our schools. Why is it that it took us more than a year and a half to get this item put on the agenda, but it took 2 weeks to have this challenge, to have the resolution challenged that was passed at the last meeting? Ms. Jackson and everybody else on the board, you stated many words of encouragement, and it was said in your own words that you would support the resolution that was passed even though it was not in favor of your vote. But I find it very hard to believe that notion when you say, Ms. Sheila Jackson, when you encourage the change in the resolution. I don't see how we can believe that you really do support what we want when you brought it back to the table to change it, even though we have worked relentlessly at doing this since last year. You may see it as a minor change in the resolution, but just like at the last meeting, there was a man who spoke, and he said that this would be a gateway to essentially taking out the JROTC program. This minor change that would be done in the resolution seems like it would be a gateway to stepping all over the hard work and discipline that we have put forward to create these changes in our communities and within the school to get out the gun ranges and the marksmanship training. Ms. Sheila Jackson, because you represent the schools that I attend and the students that are sitting behind me, I do not expect you to go forth with changing this resolution because you represent us, and we have worked relentlessly to get these gun ranges out of our schools, and it seems like it would be a slap in the face to change the resolution. Thank you.
David Dominguez, Edward Ochoa, and Ian Kelly.
Hi, my name is David Dominguez, and I'm a freshman at Lincoln High School, and I'm here representing Mecha and all the students who fought very strongly to take the gun ranges off of campus. And from one of my resources at Mission Bay High School, I heard that I was told that you, Ms. Sheila Jackson, went and personally encouraged students to keep fighting for the JROTC marksmanship program even after the the decision was made on February 10th and it was passed. And knowing that you represent the district in which my school and all the other students sitting behind me, the schools they go to, I ask, why is it that you do not respect our victory as you previously had said you did and you would? Why is it that you are encouraging high school students to stand up for something in which sends a message promoting violence? Regardless if it is for military use or not, a gun is a gun is a weapon is a sign of violence. And violence is not what we want in our community, and I don't think that should be what it was about. And I also heard someone say something that, it's the same thing about injuries, that sports should be taken out as well because they're saying shooting is a sport. Well, that's not what we came here for. We didn't come here to say that JROTC should be taken out or gun ranges for injuries, because there was never an epidemic of people dying because of a football tackle or people dying because of a basketball being thrown in their face, but there is epidemics of people dying because of a lot of shootings and massacres. Thank you.
Thank you. Edward Ochoa and Ian Kelly, and then that will conclude public comment.
My name is Eduardo Ochoa. I'm a teacher at Lincoln High School. I'm a member of ADE, the Association of Raza Educators. And I want to commend the JROTC students who came out here tonight. I know how close this must be to your heart, and I appreciate, the passion that you have towards learning how to shoot weapons, and I understand that this is important to you, and you've been mobilized. And I think you've been mobilized because a group of students here have mobilized you. So to me, to see you actually advocating for yourself, I'm not against that. So I just want to let you know that I commend especially the Lincoln students that are in the back, which I've gotten some interesting looks from in the last week or so. But I love you guys regardless. It's obvious that this postponement is going to lead to what the true objective is to turn this thing around. I mean, it's interesting how my kids have been here for a year and a half, and it took so long to get it on the agenda, just like Zakina mentioned before. And the very next meeting, it's on the agenda. And it's interesting how last time we were here, our students were adamant. It was adamantly explained not to clap. Sheila, and I have the utmost respect, but you did contradict yourself right now because you did not ask the first students, and I was disappointed. I'm like, why are they allowed to clap when our kids were denied that right last week? But thank you for giving our kids a chance to actually clap today. Somebody said, I'll be back with 1,300 cadets to make sure that this is overturned. That's what I heard a bit ago. So this is not about postponing. This is not about delaying. You know what I mean? Everybody here who has advocated has not said, give us, I heard one person, but everybody else has said, no, we want this. They didn't say, give us another 2-3 months. Let us finish the season, with the exception of, I think, one speaker. Everybody else wants the guns on campus. I don't understand why we're so adamant about having weapons trainings in our schools. I don't understand. In the Southeast community, the Diamond District, billboards for gun shows were banned. The community said, and we know that those billboards do not create violence, but we know what messages are being sent when you put billboards about gun shows. We know what messages are sent when you teach students how to shoot weapons. I've been a teacher, I've been an educator at Rowan Elementary, at Monroe Clark Middle School, at Taft Middle School, at Marston Middle School, at Lincoln High School, and every single school, if you had a picture of a gun on the shirt, you were sent home. A picture of a gun. You know what I mean? If you have a picture of an alcoholic beverage on your shirt, you get sent home. Because we know what message that's sending to the students. It's inappropriate. It doesn't belong in schools. You can't come to school with a marijuana leaf on your shirt. It sends a wrong message. So what kind of message are we sending to allow students to shoot guns on our campus? Okay, so again, please do not delay it. Do not postpone it, because we know what the delay is for, and we know what the postponement's for. I actually thought maybe all they wanted was a delay, but tonight it's proof that the delay is just mirrors, smoke and mirrors for something else. It's going to take place next semester.
Ian Kelly, San Diego. Been here several times before. Hello, everybody.
I would like to congratulate President Jackson and Mrs. Nakamura for the examples they sent during the February 10th meeting. I congratulate them for the level of leadership, consideration, and action that was lacking elsewhere on the board that evening. They did not, Mr. Evans, make a grab for political capital out of a complex issue that they did not fully appreciate. They did not justify bad policy simply because we've got to do something. They provided compelling, fact-based arguments against the resolution and voted in keeping with their own statements. They did not, Mr. Barrara, lay aside their mandate to apply critical thinking to educational policy. They did not passively assent to an obviously flawed concept. They did not they did not abandon practicality in order to follow an ideological assumption that tickled their ear. In explaining their opposition, they rejected the resolution as hostile to education, to leadership, and to responsible administration. In making their stand, they have avoided the lampooning and derision that is now aimed at this board. Their feet will not be held to the fire until this resolution is rescinded. They will not be haunted by this come Election Day. Thank you, President Jackson, Mrs. Nakamura, for your commitment to thoughtfully considering issues. I am concerned that members of this board attributed the resolution to the work of a student-based organization. Is this board so naive? Did you see what was before you, or did you see what you wished was before you? When students organize themselves, they don't arrange to be chauffeured in chartered buses. Students engaged in education do not sport shirts that mindlessly label public officials as murderers, rapists, and thieves. You permitted yourselves to be fooled by an organization of a Vietnam-era protester whose narrow mind cannot admit that anything associated with self-discipline can be positive. A majority of this board has drunk his Kool-Aid. Dr. Greer, I understand that the junior members of the board have realized that students are actually using money on campus. In order to solve the district's budget worries, they'll soon introduce a resolution banning cash from your campuses. Let me know how that works out for you. Members of the board, I recognize that community violence is a pressing concern. This weekend, 2 more youths lost their lives. Where is your resolution now? You have trivialized the issue, reducing it to yet another example of politicians' failure to act meaningfully. Prove to this city that you are capable of prudent policy. I would like you to, at the very least, postpone the implementation of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll go ahead and speak, and then we'll do another round for the board members. In my memo that I would like to share with the audience, and I hope we can get copies for everyone else, I'm requesting that we delay the marksmanship training for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have the San Diego County Rifle League, which is held January through March. Entry fees have been submitted and medals have been purchased. Cancellation of this league affects 120 varsity and junior varsity team members here in the Unified District. Even if we allow those students to participate in the school outside the district, they cannot because of the resolution that was presented last week. Also, the 40th Annual San Diego Invitational Rifle Tournament, which is scheduled in March, which has been hosted by the Unified School District for the last 40 years. 4 teams we have here in San Diego, but teams from Phoenix, Tucson, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and as far away as Guam have already purchased tickets to be here to participate. This would only allow them a chance to participate without having to try to cancel tickets and find other ways of trying to have this tournament. The 2009 California Civilian Marksmanship Program Junior Olympic Competition is scheduled to be held April 25th. Students of the San Diego High Air Rifle Team were the champions in 2007 and are the front runners to repeat that this year. This earned them an all-expense paid trip to the National Junior Olympic competition in Ohio. While these individuals may possibly compete, now they would have to find ways to fund travel, they would not have practice, that would really impact their performance, and that would not have them on a level playing field. 2 female students in San Diego High School and 1 in Hoover have had the highest scores in recent years, are considered for marksmanship scholarships. The programs these students are involved in are both Olympic gold medal sports and the NCAA Title IX sport. I understand that some of the students are upset about having to delay this, but for the Lincoln students, and I said to you when I had spoken to you, that while I do not support the marksmanship elimination, I support your efforts. I also think that you take care of the minority. If that wasn't true, then a lot of us would not be sitting here. Someone advocated for us, we was in the minority. So just because there's a smaller group that may take marksmanship training and there's a larger group that's saying eliminate it, does not make me want to eliminate it. The question is, the program is something that parents have chosen to allow their kids to participate in. I didn't ask that we rescind the resolution. I asked that we delayed it, because in delaying it, it will give the people who have been working hard, preparing all year, to finish something that they started. And I think that is the responsible thing for us to do. And I also think that sometimes, and as a board member, we do things, and we find out later that it affects a lot of people. And when we find that out, I think it's our responsibility to make sure that we can help those people. So that is why I'm asking for this amendment to delay the program until the end of the school year, to allow those students to participate, to allow those people who have purchased tickets and hotel rooms and that type of thing to come to San Diego and participate. Dr. Evans.
Thank you. Now, I know this is a very touchy subject, and certainly based on my meetings in the community, even last night, I don't think I've necessarily gained a lot of political capital with my position. But I think we need to be very clear in our language today and what we're doing. What is on the agenda is a request to delay the implementation of the elimination of the marksmanship training program. I know that a lot of people came up and spoke about the pro and cons of the marksmanship program. That was voted on by the board 2 weeks ago, and a majority voted to eliminate it. So even though people made a lot of comments in that regard, even from a parliamentary point of view, that cannot even be considered at this point. Now, I also know that I did place the motion at the last meeting to eliminate the marksmanship training. I also today seconded the motion that Ms. Nakamura made in terms of delaying the implementation. I think we need to just be very clear about some things. And one of the things that happened, I found out, in terms of eliminating the weapons training, was people got the idea that this had to do with eventually doing away with JROTC. That is not on my agenda. There are people in the community who think we should have ROTC in the schools, people who think we don't. There's a lot of different opinions about that. I do not support eliminating it because there is a lot of public and community support for having ROTC in our schools. But that's a separate issue, and that's not, we were just dealing last meeting with the weapons training. And today we're only dealing with a delay of that implementation. Now, I think we have to consider fairness in our decision. And when we make a decision that happens at a particular point in time, if it proposes a particular hardship on people, I don't think we should just blindly go forward. And so I've looked over what Ms. Jackson has put here in terms of some of the tournaments that have already been paid for. People are participating. The students started off the year understanding that this was a program with no idea that it was not going to continue. So for that reason, I think there is an issue of fairness in terms of allowing them to participate in these competitions. But again, the message that we are sending is that we do not want, as part of our San Diego educational program, for weapons training to be a part of that. And just again a note, there are many places in the nation where and even in San Diego where there are ROTC programs that do not include weapons training. I think one thing that would be really important, I'm just going to say to the other board members, is that that we be very clear on how we voted a couple of weeks ago and that we are standing by that vote. I don't want any confusion to go out from this in terms of whatever the decision on the delay of the implementation. The fact that the board has voted in a democratic manner to eliminate weapons training from our schools. I guess what I would like to do is introduce an amendment to the idea of where it says to delay implementation training to 2009, 2010, to say that we have ceased weapons training immediately and that we will make exceptions for participation in competition and other reasons between now and the end of this school year, so that the programs can gradually be shut down between right now, as they already have been, and the last day of school. I don't even want to refer to next school year, the last day of school, in terms of they would have to be closed out, because I'm sure I've looked at the schedule of the competitions, and they're not going to go beyond the last day of school. So I think it just needs to be very clear. I'm just saying this over and over again. We are talking about only allowing in certain circumstances where there is a hardship due to already planned competitions and so forth to continue to the last day of school if necessary. Thank you.
Yeah, I
There was no second. All I did was I said there was no second. I heard you. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, does this mean that the motion, we still have a motion?
That was for his amendment.
Oh, okay. First of all, both the sets of students, there were some very articulate speakers, and I don't trivialize the feelings on either side. I think this is, it's a very serious issue, and it's a concern, and I stand by my vote last time. I would also say that boards do have the capacity to reverse themselves. There is a saying that, every 4 years we get to overthrow the government, and that's called an election. But boards, you don't even have to wait for that. Boards do have the ability to reverse their decisions. That's not what we are doing tonight in any way, shape, or form. The idea is simply to make sure that, things that have been put in motion this year can be finished for this year, in recognition of the fact that there are students who have worked very hard to, on marksmanship and in fairness to, plans that have been made. But it's, that's what's on the motion tonight. However, I hope that both groups of students will not have hard feelings on themselves. Mr. Ochoa, I'm very glad that you stood up and talked about that. This is democracy. People have, differences of opinion. And, it's not a bad exercise to actually try and be able to articulate what the other person's opinion is, because when you can do that, you can better actually argue against it. It's to be just dismissive and in some cases, represent facts that are not true, weakens your case. It doesn't strengthen it, and I'm speaking as a lawyer, I suppose. But I think that there were cases made on both sides, and that's important to reflect tonight. And I think that the decisions that were made up here on the board were the decisions of the board as well. We all have our personal reasons for this, and, board members can grow and board members can change their positions. They can have different sets of facts that become apparent to them as well. So I don't, for people that, felt it was important to say something negative about board members, I wish you wouldn't do that either, because I know that it was a carefully considered decision on each board member's part. But I also hope that board members will, take into effect. I had no idea that there were 120 varsity and junior varsity team members in San Diego Unified, and I voted for this. I had no idea that we have a, that we have a tournament, the 40th annual San Diego Invitational Rifle Tournaments, where there are other organizations and groups, depending on the district. So I think it's appropriate to, in light of this new information, and within the limited range of this particular motion at this particular time, and appropriate for the board to consider allowing this to continue, if only for this year. So, could you rephrase your amendment for me, Dr. Evans? I don't really, I admit the nuance was lost on me.
We moved to we approved ending it immediately, and my amendment would say we would make an exception for people participating in competitions or other things that are midstream that would be an undue hardship to disrupt between now and the end of the school year.
That would stop it for everyone else. Okay.
Guerrero?
Well, it just is.
Are you done?
I'm finished, yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Are we again clarifying that there was no second?
There was no second.
There was no second, yeah.
Well, again, as I said at the last meeting, how much I respect and honor the participation and the work from especially the students on both sides of this issue. And I think what this is boiling down to is a very difficult decision or choice between a sort of a principle of fairness and what I consider a larger principle of sending a clear message in our community that that the school district simply can't condone, can't tolerate gun violence. And I believe that what Ms. Jackson and Ms. Nakamura and Dr. Evans are all articulating is a sense of wanting to be fair to the students here who are in the middle of the program, have competitions coming up that you've been training for, that you've been working hard for. And so I respect what's motivating this amendment to allow those programs to continue through the end of the year. I can't support that though, and the reason I can't support that is because I think what's happening to the students in the programs is not fair. I agree. I think that you've been in a program that you believe in, that you have very you've had very positive things happen in your life because of it, and we're now eliminating that program, and that's not fair. However, I think it's the responsibility of us as a board to, this whole issue boils down to sending clear messages, not mixed messages. And every day that we delay means another day that we're sending a clear message that we tolerate a program that is about the use of guns, and that we tolerate a message that I think too many people in our community receive, that gun violence is something that has its place in our society. And I don't believe that gun violence has its place in our society. And therefore, in order to be very clear about the message that I intend to send, I can't vote for the resolution to delay.
Okay. Well, first I'll make a simple observation. If every time this board passes something, then we decide next week that we're not going to pass it, that's not good government. I voted against Project Labor Agreement, and then the next day I told the board I would accept the majority rule and that I would try to work for a quality Project Labor Agreement. I think that's what being on a school board's all about. You accept the majority view, and then you don't turn around and a week later just run the whole thing over again, because what happens is the message you send to the people you represent is there's no firm decisions ever made by a board, that they're always subject to last-minute reconsideration, which weakens the whole process. If I go to, you look at the state of California, they can't pass a budget. Do you think they're a strong outfit? I don't think so. I think they're sending a message that they're very poor leaders, okay? I voted. I happen to have voted on this side, on the prevailing side. I'm not really interested in reconsidering, but I got to tell you some of the things that affect my vote, because they're significant, and I think most of us have experienced some of these. I had one adult, by the way, the youth that are representing both sides should be complimented, particularly the young man from Lincoln that came up here was so articulate. I was really impressed with you. You have a great place in leadership, maybe better than the commander of the ROTC, okay? But I'll go into... what affects my vote. I had an adult get to me and say, oh, you know what, you're taking away the student's Second Amendment rights. I don't know that a student has a right to carry arms around in our community, so why should they have the right to carry arms or use arms in our schools, okay? So it's not a Second Amendment right. But how could this guy on the same letter say to me, I'm a pinko, anti-American, cave into special interest? Boy, oh, there's a group of people. Special interest is somebody you don't agree with. Okay, so that's all we get around here. So all you have to do is label somebody that doesn't agree with you a special interest, and now you're already home free. Baloney. Not with me, you're not. Okay, so now we get into the idea of whether this is a gun violence issue. I don't agree with Richard. Gun violence is in our community. It's here every day. There's a lot of victims of it in my community and in your communities. Wherever you are, where victims of guns are there. But this is a symbolic measure, not one wrapped around gun violence. It's around what is a symbol of teaching kids how to shoot guns. What does that represent? Okay? I'll tell you something. Maybe you shoot at targets that are little round circles. You know, and I had some board member tell me one time they're going to shoot at me. The point is that they weren't going to shoot at a round target, although I wore one the next week, you know, so they'd be able to aim right. The reason why the military teaches marksmanship is to shoot targets? The symbol is you're going to convert your skill in shooting targets to doing something else to people. If you say it's something else, you're fooling yourself. I happen to be, I know, goodbye, sir. I'm glad you don't like what I'm saying, because I'm still going to say it. Second, please. I happen to have been a member of the NRA. I also happen to have not a medal for shooting, okay, and it's not the beginner's marksmanship medal, and it's large caliber guns, and I happen to have guns in my home, and I believe in the Second Amendment. But I don't believe that there's a place in the school for doing this. You can be a doggone good leader of the ROTC. You can learn all the skills you need to carry with pride your uniform. You can do all the things you need to know about discipline and leadership that the ROTC teaches you, and you don't have to shoot a gun. So, yes, you can call me. The guy walked out, he probably thinking pinko, anti-American sort of guy, you know, all that stuff. And there's other people. By the way, somebody made a comment that we never spent a dime on this gun stuff. That's a baloney. In one of our schools, we used discretionary money and actually did away with programs to put in a shooting range. Mission Bay High School, don't kid me about it. We had that argument once. There was money spent to convert that school room into a shooting range. That was district money. That wasn't private money. Don't tell me stuff like this and then expect me to say it's not true that we never spent any district money on it. We did. Okay? Now, when people start telling me stuff that's not true, calling me a pinko, and saying that I'm affected by special interests, it sets me up on really uptight, and I get pretty mad. Okay? I'm not about to change this vote myself. I have a feeling some people are going to waffle, and I think that means that we are showing a lack of leadership and commitment to our decision making. If that happens, so be it. You know, I'm stuck with who got elected with me. But the point of it is, if every single time we make a decision on budget, layoffs, whatever, pick a thing, closing schools, and then the next week we come back and say, oh, let's reconsider because it's convenient because a few people got in our face. what kind of leaders are we as a school board? You know, maybe I'm wrong, I'll be wrong, but I'll be doing what I think is right as long as I'm here. That's it.
I realize that certain things can be characterized as waffling. What I want to do is to make a very careful and considered decision. And as the person who put on the motion to eliminate weapons training in school, I stand by that now, and I will stand by that. And I think it's pretty clear to the public that a majority of the board is going to stand by that. Now, obviously, on any issue, anybody at any time, someone can bring up next week that we want to have submarines on campus, that we want to have this, that, whatever. I mean, anybody can bring up anything at any time, and it's still going to require a board majority to make that happen. And I don't see that happening on this board in terms of the weapons training. My only issue at this point is to not penalize the students who are participating in these competitions, which we as a district encouraged and set them up to do. So my point is that we would be ending the weapons training and allowing them to do whatever is necessary just to continue in the competitions. Now, in order to participate in the competitions, since no one is seconding the amendment, it's going to come down to allowing them to do that by deferring the time from now to the end of the school year. But it does not change anything of the vote of the board that we have eliminated at weapons training from our schools.
Dr. Greer.
Thank you. Just for the staff, because we certainly want to implement whatever it is the board finally decides, we need clarity, or I do at least. Are we talking about eliminating rifle ranges except for children who compete?
That was the amendment, and that didn't pass.
The amendment didn't pass.
So now this is just to allow rifle ranges to continue for the balance of the school year?
There's no amendment or even a motion on the table.
Yes,
There is a motion.
there's a motion.
The motion on the table
Seconded.
said.
Who was seconded?
The motion.
Dr. Evans.
Yes.
Dr. Evans seconded that motion.
Thank you.
Who made
Okay.
it?
I did.
Okay, fair enough. Then we have a
Okay,
motion.
I'm going to call for the vote for the motion. The motion is to delay the elimination of marksmanship training to the beginning of the 09-10
Well-
school year.
Until
Okay, the
June.
end of this year.
The end
Until
of
the end of this
the
year,
end of the
right.
school year.
Okay, the end of
Okay,
Let them finish out the year.
all right. That passes 3-2. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
That was tough.
Regular gasoline is 8 carbons, and here with propane gas, only 3 carbons. And that's the reason why, the students here on the campus of Crawford, they are trying to go green because they want to make sure that, they keep our planet clean and to keep it long. So thanks a lot, guys. So there you have it. We've been live here throughout the entire morning, just showing you different things happening here on Crawford, and I'm going to toss it back to you there, Rule, and the studio.
Okay, Jackie, thank you very much. I'm just glad you made it off that lawnmower safely. I was a little concerned you were heading off into who knows where and just didn't look safe. Thanks,
I thought
Jackie.
I was going to go off there.
Y bueno, ya para irnos, jóvenes de preparatoria se preparan a esa edad para una carrera especialmente deliciosa. Son estudiantes del taller de artes culinarias de la escuela Miramesa. Los jóvenes chefs prepararon hoy platillos típicos de esta época decembrina. pues compartieron sus conocimientos y hasta dieron consejos y tips para una mejor preparación de estos platillos que de alguna manera son bien recurrentes y se cocinan en muchas casas en esta época de fin de año. Y lo que me llama mucho la atención.
Hanging out in City Heights. Jackie, where is she?
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm hanging out with students here who are part of the Multimedia and Visual Arts School here at Crawford High. And take a look. We are what they call out there in the music industry mixing. So I got to ask their teacher here, Mr. Efren Villanueva, what's mixing?
Well, this is the way our students are able to take our products that we make in audio production and manipulate them in front of an audience, present them in front of their peers, and basically we're just throwing MP3s up in the computer and loading them up on turntables and playing them just like records, like we did back in the day.
Like back in the days, huh? Yeah, you got my number there. Look, I'm scratching. Can you see that? Dante, thanks a lot for hosting me over here. And you know, I gotta show you, can you play a favorite song for me, you know? A favorite song? Gotta play that song. So, what's this song here? Hey, this is the principal for the Multimedia and Visual Arts School, Mr. Diego Gutierrez, and check out his moves. I think they're so cool here. The students here at the school, they love him, so hey.
Well, and they pay me to do this work, so it is absolutely great to be here. Thanks for being here this morning at our school, sharing what the kids are doing. It's a fantastic day to do this kind of work. Oh yeah, look at you, you have really good moves.
Yeah, so I gotta ask you, you know, Crawford High just recently celebrated its 50 years. How do you feel? Does this song take you back?
It does take me, no, 1980s, come on, this is my time. Yeah, we celebrated 50 years of existence, and it's been great. 4 years ago, we broke into small schools, and it's very good for our kids as well. So the alumni are appreciating the work that we're doing, and we appreciate the work that they've been doing with our school as well.
All right, well, I'd love to see some more of your moves. Hey, guys, why don't you dance with your principal? Got to come over here and talk to some of the students. Hey, so how do you like this art class, huh?
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
You just like it? What are you doing right now?
It's crash board.
What, I'm sorry?
It's crash board.
Oh, can we see it on camera? Can you show it to our viewers real fast? All right, so share with us exactly what are you doing?
It's a bidon for scratch work.
All right, well, thank you so much there. As you can see, a lot of these students here have a lot of fun in this the multimedia and visual arts class, and so am I. They love to shake it down there. You know, hey, what do you think about this song here? Do you know this song at all?
Of course I know the song. I made the song.
You made this song, huh? All right, well, let's show you, us, the viewers out there, your move there for a quick minute, and I'm going to toss it back to you guys there in the studio while we continue to dance here in this class. You know,
the next item up is G items, and G student instructional items. We have item G2, which is a public hearing to request a waiver of Ed Code Section 60422 for 1 year postponement of grades K-8 mathematics and English language arts adoption. Dr. Greer?
Yes, ma'am. I know the board has not adopted its upcoming budget. However, this recommendation is not necessarily to recommend that you delay that, but it is to recommend that you apply for a waiver in the event that you decide to. Because what's going to happen is the deadline's going to come and go for waivers. And so to give you the flexibility that you need in making those kind of decisions, it is our staff's recommendation and my recommendation that you apply for this waiver. It just gives you that, again, it gives you the flexibility. We're not asking you not to adopt these textbooks at this time. But if we don't ask for the waiver, the waiver will come and go, and then you couldn't do it even if you wanted to. So what we're trying to do is to protect your flexibility to make decisions as a board.
Okay. Yes. Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any more board discussion? No, please vote. Yeah. That passes 5-0. Okay, the next is the district's operation monitoring report OE13 facilities. Oh, yes, that's a good one. Dr. Greer.
Thank you, President Jackson. As part of your governance procedure, our staff brings monitoring reports to you on a regular basis, and tonight we are bringing operational expectations OE13, which addresses facilities in our district, and I'm going to ask Bill Koba to come forward and you've had the copy of the report, and Bill's here to answer questions that you might have. Bill, good to see you. Board members, if you have questions, Bill's here to try to provide responses and answers. Excuse me.
Hey, board members, any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. DeBeck.
Okay. We just passed the bond issue, and the bond issue runs us for about, what, 10 years?
Yes, Mr. DeBeck, it's planned for 10 years, but based on current market conditions, we have extended that.
What I'm getting at is this. You can't have, well, you can. We could do a lot of stuff up here. But we've got different points of view about, for example, whether kids should remain in their neighborhoods and go to school, or whether they are transported elsewhere by choice. And if, let's say that we have a discussion and we end up deciding that the best plan, I think Sheila would agree with this, that her view is that the kids should stay at home, okay? That is now, definitely has a facilities implication.
Yes, it does.
And yet, if we have this kind of discussion, it's based on the knowledge that there are no bond issues available to us for another 10 years. That's I will call it a very abstract discussion, because the facilities aren't there to house the kids, and to actually have that expectation that we'll house the kids in, let's say, in their neighborhoods is unrealistic under the circumstances. So what I'm getting at is, if it says, develop a plan that establishes priorities for construction, renovation, and maintenance projects, that we should then honor our expectation, and if the expectation is that we're going to house the kids wherever they choose to go, we need to agree to that and stop arguing about it. Because otherwise, we're going to have this tension about, we've got a bond issue, and we've already approved what we're going to do with it, and we gave the public a list of things we're going to do, none of which were to build new schools near the neighborhood where these kids live. That means by that very decision that the community voted for our plan for facilities. Now then, if we don't agree with that vote, then are we going to bring back another bond issue right away, or are we going to wait 10 years? If we're going to wait 10 years, we got to wait and not talk about things that can't be done unless we do away with Prop S. I mean, that's a realistic statement. You can't argue policies that you haven't got any power to generate. And some decisions, like the ones we just made, I guess, can be reversed. I don't think we can reverse Prop S. I've never seen a bond issue that's been reversed. But if the bond issue is binding on us and our community on how we spend it, then I think we ought to stop talking about things that are not covered by that in our facility plans. So I guess I'll ask you the question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any plans for facilities in the communities in which we have crowding?
I think that, yes, there are, sir. The overcrowding classroom grant was put
in the
forward.
Proposition?
It is in Proposition S, yes, sir.
So what's it do to relieve that pressure?
We applied for state funds underneath the overcrowded classroom requirements, and we received funds for which we match with Prop S. And we will be, in the first 18 months, be applying, building two-story structures, replacing portables at schools like Point Loma, Hoover, and San Diego High.
That's not where the kids are living.
Well, those were the overcrowded schools for which the criteria of the bond was applicable.
All right, okay. Just an observation that sometimes there are things that we put down, that we plan on and that we support.
Yes, sir.
That then are binding on our futures that are not covered in the, I'll call it the day-to-day discussions among the board about what their priorities are. And I think it's important for us to understand that.
Yes, sir.
Because when I talk to people about, let's do this, my answer to them is, do you want double sessions? Do you want multi-track year-round? Because that's what you'll get if I keep your kids home.
Well,
and if there's another answer to that, If there is another answer to that, I think we should have that discussion and we shouldn't put it off.
I do think, Madam President, there is part of that discussion that you could have later on, because I do think there are options for the high schools with middle colleges on some of the community college campuses. If you're willing to look at reconfiguring some small elementary schools in some areas, that could also save you with some busing. But to answer Mr. Beck's question, there's also a middle school that's located on the Gompers campus or near the Gompers campus that is part of Prop S, was calling for additional classroom spaces there.
Right.
I know that was also looking at the possibility of locating some portables, but as we looked through that this week as a staff, I did ask the staff to calculate for us what it would cost if we were to put more of a two-story permanent structure there than just do replacements, because that school's going to grow. It's already growing, and that's something we, of course, would bring back to you for your approval after we do an analysis of it.
Lincoln's already, they complained bitterly that we had forced their kids on them.
Oh.
And then we end up now with a situation where they're over capacity and no plans to alleviate that overcapacity.
First of all, and Mr. Barrera, I know that you're next, but I want to say a couple of things. No, I'll wait my turn. Go ahead, Mr. Barrera.
Yeah, there are other sources of money for facilities beyond Prop S. There are other sources of facility money beyond Prop S. There's state facilities money. There's an expectation in the stimulus plan that there's, potentially money for school construction that's going to be coming down.
Downtown development.
Yeah, right, downtown redevelopment funds.
And that's, I guess, what we have as an operational expectation, wouldn't we?
Sure, yeah.
We don't.
So, well, okay, so we need to talk about that then. I certainly would propose, and we need to have a board discussion about that, but I would propose that a top priority of the use of facilities money for which we have discretion is to create facilities that give students the choice of going to school in their neighborhood. I think that should be an important priority of this board, and that's a discussion that we need to have, but that's certainly what I would support. But I think we're talking here about facilities, not simply Prop S.
Well, yeah, but let me put it another way. I just use that as an example of the massive infusion of capital for construction in this district. And yet, if we say our operational expectation around facilities are something, then we ought to say in this operational expectations exactly what you just got through saying.
Right.
The point is that this statement is not accurate according to your views. It may be accurate to Sheila's view. It may not be accurate according to mine, and we need to have that discussion. The point is that this is not adequate. Not that I'm right or wrong or that you're right or wrong. But the point is that the facility statement is not an adequate representation of the issues that face this board.
And okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, but this was, I think, developed by the Board of Education at a certain point in time, and we set up parameters for this particular operational expectations monitoring report, and it may not be adequate now. It may have the fact that Proposition S passed. That was not a guarantee when this was developed. And this is a different board. It's a new day. So I think that it's important to take this report in the light in which it was originally conceived, and then, if we don't agree with what's in it, that's what we're here to do today, and then we're going to be having a meeting here, where I think it's in April, that we're going to sit down and actually maybe go over this with more specificity or maybe less specificity. I don't know. We'll have to talk. Knowing this board, I would guess more specificity. But I do want to say, though, that with regard to this operational report, I'm really, Mr. Koba, pleased to read the list. I guess number 3, the superintendent will assure that facilities are clean, sanitary, safe, and in good repair. And all of the systems that we have now in place regarding bathroom cleaning and restroom cleaning and so on and so forth. And yet, it really is impressive, all of these, quality assurance programs that we have and so forth in order to make sure that this is at issue. And yet, we know from when we did Proposition S, and I was at many a breakfast with the superintendent at Hobnob, where we talked about the fact that the top concern of our high school students was the condition of the bathrooms.
Right.
And so it's good to know that we have these programs. But short of Proposition S, I have trouble, with no reflection on all of your efforts, but I have problems actually saying that we are in compliance until, we've at least started really focusing on addressing what was, the top issue for our high school students was the bathrooms through Proposition S or whatever money, I don't care what we use. But those bathrooms, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care. They're like bathrooms in fraternity houses, I don't care how clean, how often you clean them. Sometimes things are just in so much disrepair, it's not going to make a whit of difference until we get after them. And so I would, I don't know that I personally don't feel that we're in compliance on that particular issue. And again, no reflection on your efforts,
Sure.
No reflection on the program. And I'm very pleased to see the steps that we have taken on that. But until we actually, I just have, I guess particularly, it does say facilities here, but I guess I just have those bathrooms in mind that I know
Maybe
that's-
if, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Maybe if I could maybe frame this a little bit, that would help with the board. I think, Mrs. Nakamura, your point is well made, that we're asking you to consider compliance based on a framework, a policy that was developed last fall, recognizing with time and new information and the exposure to coherent governance, you will want to make change. I mean, that's part of what you're looking at. So when I put together a team of the facility planning, construction, and the physical plant operations people together, we took a look at that original bare bones framework, and we were asked to ensure or to validate that the superintendent would center all of his facilities effort around assuring safe and properly maintained facilities. So with all recognition of what Mr. DeBeck talked about with setting priorities for construction, maintenance, and renovation, and as you can note, there are both two large components to this particular requirement. It is a very sweeping topic without particular boundaries, and we attempted to do that. So you're finding things like safe and sanitary facilities. Are we complying with life cycle costs? Are we ensuring that the public is not denied use of the facilities? Are we properly fee structuring and admitting personnel to using the facilities? Are we consistent with what we do with them? And we went through all of the policies, current, planned, and past and future practice. And at the end of the day, we looked at all of the Civic Act Commission guidelines. We looked at the Williams Act inspections that are done annually by the county. We looked at the semi-annual safety health checklists and the inspections that go through, the quarterly playground and equipment inspections, the fact that we have created a zone management structure which is much closer to the principles and responses to safe or unsafe requirements. And it was after looking at that framework and looking at over 30 exhibits that, in our best opinion, was that we were meeting the requirements today. That's not to say Proposition S doesn't demand new needs for us.
The other thing also is, I can tell you, if you haven't visited, I would encourage you to go. Okay. The bathrooms at the high schools are significantly cleaner and in better repair today, quite frankly, because of staff having to monitor and make sure that they could say they were in compliance. Now, once we renovate them, they're going to be new and shiny and sparkly, but at the end of the day, we still have to make sure they're clean and that they're sanitary. So it'll be a newer model, and it'll be something I think our kids will enjoy more. But our schools, and I'm sorry they're all gone, but I'm sure that they would tell you, if you go visit, you would see that they're a lot cleaner today than they were before we adopted this policy.
We do have one up here. How do you feel? Have you seen any improvement at University City High School?
I have noticed an improvement at University City High School. This is the first year, I think, in my 4 years that there's constantly been soap. It's powder soap, which isn't the best, but it's soap. It works.
All right.
Today there was a pretty bad spill in one of the stalls, and I went after lunch and it was cleaned up. So I have noticed improvement in the cleaning of the schools this year.
Have you, at this time, or have ever been given any money by the superintendent to say this?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Evans?
Yeah, my questions are more general and kind of along the lines of what Mr. DeBeck is talking about, which kind of has to do with us, the board, defining its priorities and so forth. But I guess I'm trying to understand a little bit when there's a list of Proposition S projects that were developed, and this is a 10-year plan. I mean, it doesn't seem reasonable to me to think that over the course of the 10 years, there wouldn't be some modification of that based on changing needs and so forth. And then we have, you mentioned the issue about overcrowded classrooms and being able to do that. But yet, one of the problems is if there are certain areas of town where there are not schools available, then, in Southeast San Diego, if there are less schools, and then the school in Point Loma is overcrowded, then we qualify for overcrowded there, as opposed to actually placing more classrooms or another school or something in Southeast San Diego. So I'm just trying to get an idea of, even within Proposition X, how much flexibility is there within that? And I know that's a bigger issue.
Before you answer that, can I ask the board members, I think we should schedule a meeting to discuss Prop S. The item before us tonight is this monitoring report on facilities. And I think the Prop S discussion is a separate discussion.
Well, it's just that number one was what Mr. DeBeck pointed out.
This is not about Prop S. It doesn't mention Prop S at all. Prop S is only a part of this. But, I will go back to my original statement.
Well, then before you go back to your statement, if we're going to discuss Prop S, then my thing is that this is about the items here tonight, facilities, and so I think the Prop S should be at a time that we're discussing all of Prop S and where it's going. And so, Dr. Evans, do you want him to go ahead and answer your question, or can you wait for the bigger discussion? That's my question for you, I guess.
That's okay. I can wait.
Okay. Were you going to say something else about your report, Mr. Coburn?
I was just going to say that we went back to the original framework, which was centered around safe and well-maintained schools. It was not about necessarily Proposition S, so we stayed within the bounds and looked at our current practices and Ed Code and other compliance and various inspection results to validate that they were safe and maintained schools.
The other quick point with this is that this is an OE policy. And if you want to change OE 13, that you either do it on your own or you do it when Linda and Randy come in and you add to it to take into account Prop S, to take into account potential changes in boundary lines if you want, whatever you want in terms of your philosophy about where kids go to school and where they don't. When we did this OE monitoring report, we really tried to address the OE 13 that you had approved, and knowing that this is the first stab at it, and that you will change it, and as you change it, it will change whether or not we are or not in compliance. We believe that we are in compliance with what you adopted.
Okay, please vote. Comments? Any more comments? I'm sorry.
I'm going to go back to, I'm not talking Prop S. I've used Prop S as an example.
Is your mic on, John?
Mic's on?
Oh, is it on?
All right, it is now. Okay, if you look at the first line in this, and it doesn't say anything about Prop S, it doesn't say anything about state school building funds. It says, the superintendent shall assure that physical facilities support the accomplishment of the board's results policies. Results are the outcomes for students. That means that the results policy might mean that we believe as a group that we need to raise student achievement in certain neighborhoods. This doesn't mean that safe and properly maintained is the only mantra in it. it is not just that. It is the facilities support the accomplishments of results. Okay? Now, the results are not how clean the schools are, it's how well students achieve. We had our discussion, and Sheila, I apologize. I found out you were right, that many of the kids, in fact, the majority of the kids that are bused do not do as well as those that remain in their neighborhood schools. I was wrong. Okay, it's a very minor thing, and the study's considerably old, but I have to say that I discovered that. So then the point is, if in fact raising student achievement can be achieved by, and that's certainly a board results policy, can be achieved by building more schools in a crowded neighborhood so that the kids can stay home and achieve, then I can say that that part of this statement has not been reached. Okay? Now, if you want to, debate whether or not correction of unsafe conditions is the only thing that this Prop S or any other school funds were designed around, I say no. We're talking about our facilities here, and the policies wrapped around facilities are how do we get to our results. Our results are not in how clean the schools are, but how well the students do in the schools. And let me put it this way bluntly, if the bathrooms are dirty and the students are doing really well, I don't want to call that a cause, but I certainly don't want to worry about that so much as I want to find out why they're doing well, right? If busing kids across town doesn't help achievement, I want to recognize that and fix it. But I don't want to sit here arguing about it unless I have some concrete evidence. But I certainly don't want to say that this substantially was acceptable, because we did not assure that facilities support the accomplishments of results. We could go down the line and pick on little pieces and say, oh yeah, project life cycle costs as capital decisions are made. What's that got to do with board's results or students? I don't know. Okay, so the original heading on this is, do the facilities support board results? And then you go down and you say, was it substantially or partially, or do we want to revise it and revisit it another time? I'd say we didn't substantially do it. And that's why I was raising the issue. I'm sorry I used Prop S. I'm going to tell you, though, that you can't have any changes in an election on bond issues, period. Don't think you can, because we had a big fight over that out in the Scripps Ranch when we tried to do it for a middle school. And we were told by bond counsel and everybody else, you're really sticking your neck out. Well, we got away with it. But don't think that you can change the written ballot of the kids that people have voted on. It can't be done.
Right.
Let me ask the question for clarification. When we look at these OE policies, and Mr. DeBeck is reading, the result policies are safe and proper maintained, and each of the policies after that always go into the development of further language for each particular item. I guess the question is, the results policies here, are these result policies related just to the facilities, or are these academic results, or a combination of both? Superintendent, help me here.
Well, basically, I think we're kind of saying the same things, but again, what I would say to you is, when we put together the plan, it says the superintendent shall assure that physical facilities support the accomplishments of the board's results policies. That's a nice statement, but the superintendent didn't design Prop S. And we can recommend what Prop S's projects are going to be. We did so with input from a wide variety of places, and then the board approved it. But you approved that before you approved this, if you'll go back and think about it. Mm-hmm. The point I'm trying to make to you with this is, if you want to change it, change it. But the way it's written, our staff and I feel like we are in compliance with this the way it was written. If you change this and modify it, then we'll get in compliance with that. That's the only point I'm trying to make. And I think the time to change this is not tonight, but it's with Linda and Randy when they come back and you guys visit it. But I understand what Mr. DeBeck's saying. You're not hearing me argue much with him. Yeah, I'm just simply saying that's a discussion to have, I believe, at a planned later time. Not something we blow off, but something we schedule and plan for.
I just agree that this is the work of the board to more clearly define that, and then to send you out and charge you with achieving that. And I understand that you've had to operate on what you had here.
So, Ms. Takamaro?
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I think just if we're taking notes here on sort of ideas floating out there and not necessarily changing, but, we might want a different operational expectation than, facilities, maybe the maintenance of facilities, as opposed to building or renovating facilities, which are two really completely different events. And that's, we may want to make those, distinctly different, especially since we have different people in charge of them. But I have to say that if implementing this operational expectation got us a restroom inspection program that we didn't have before, so that Mr. Craig can actually, for the first time I've ever heard a high school student stand up here and say, yeah, it's better. That's worth pages and pages and pages to me, because in the time that I've been on the district, I have never heard a student express that things have improved, which is the whole goal of this. Doesn't mean it's perfect, doesn't mean we couldn't do it better. We'll try and get rid of the powdered soap. That's actually something that is, one of the things I don't like either, and I'm not sure that that's really effective. I know the custodians, have an issue with that, but it's I think that we're moving in the right direction, and we're having the right discussions, and we're capturing the sorts of things that need to be captured. So while I was not really, I really was going to put this as sort of a not in compliance, I think based solely on Mr. Craig's testimony this evening, I'm with compliance, yeah.
So what is the board pleasure? Any
Your
more
vote?
comments? Let's vote.
Okay.
I'm looking. It's either compliance or substantially in compliance? I'm looking at the bottom, there's more than one category.
They marked
And I didn't hear a
mine.
motion,
It was made earlier.
not a second, but
Yes.
let me just,
No, we didn't. Ms. Ward said there wasn't a motion.
Oh, okay, I stand corrected.
Okay,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve in compliance.
In compliance.
In compliance.
Okay. Vote
The
again.
second?
We need a second, okay.
Okay,
Go
moved in
to-
second.
Okay.
Okay, now we can
Start
vote.
over.
We vote.
On page 17 says, okay, very good.
Yeah, just for,
Okay.
appearance's sake.
Okay, that passes 4-1.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, the next item is the superintendent's consent agenda. Action by the Board of Education in Section I, Superintendent's Consent Agenda. At this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in Section I are adopted in one single motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted on separately. Generally, consent agenda items are matters which members of the board and superintendent concur are routine in manner and should be acted upon in one motion to conserve time and permit the focus on other than routine matters on this agenda. In addition to items I-08, I-28, and I-41, which were withdrawn by the staff, Ms. Ward, are there any other changes to the consent agenda? Thank you. We have requests for public testimony for agenda item I-02. Are there any other ones, Ms.?
Yeah, I-43.
Oh, I mean for public testimony.
Oh.
Ms. Ward, are there any other public testimony? Okay. All right, I'm going to do the consent agenda speakers. We have one, Mr. Goldwater.
Going back to the previous item, check Morris High School and Claremont High School restrooms. The young men and women there might have a different opinion on the cleanliness of that. Okay?
So do it.
Mike Goldwater, 4385 Mount Everest Boulevard, San Diego, 92117. I'm concerned about I.02 because it deals with money and it deals with board decision based on staff through the superintendent. Looking at the documentation, you're looking at number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 on I.02. You're looking at a combination of funding of about $65,000, $127,000. Item 3 is $99,000, and item 4 is $90,000. With benefits, you're looking at a total of, for these positions, $421,000. I don't think that's chump change. If you're looking at trying to save money, I believe that the Chief of Human Resources making this recommendation in a worldwide depression and in a recession that San Diego's in, the young people, the adults who are watching this television program right now, who might be out of work and are looking at abnormally high incomes for these proposed positions, I think it's ludicrous. I honestly feel the Chief of Human Resources who would put this forward is not thinking with all 8 cylinders. I would also like to make a mention that as of Friday, one of our senior zone managers, or the only senior zone manager, will no longer be employed by the school district because he's retiring. So that's about $117,000 we can save right there by not filling the position. If we get rid of the other zone managers that Mr. Koba seems so pleased about, we could save $453,000. That's a total of $875,000. I think $875,000 is a substantial amount of money to save, considering we're in a belt-tightening area right now in our society. I don't think HR improving itself with additional people is a proper thing to do. We have people out there who are unemployed, people out there who can't make the mortgages in their home, and then we have the public school system going out there and spending close to $1 million on these abnormally high salaries for individuals we really don't need. These managers and zone managers were just something that just was developed and came about, I believe, the December 14th or 15th meeting with 2 junior board members voted on without having all the facts. Ms. Jackson, you voted knowing the facts against that. I believe these positions should be eliminated because we have to help our children. These cuts, these elimination of these positions would be far from the classroom, real far.
Thank you. Does any board member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. DeBeck.
I-20.
I-20.
I'm looking at the
Okay.
others, but I've got on I-20.
Ms.
That's the
Nakamura.
interdivisional curriculum.
43.
I-43. Is it 43?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I-02.
I-02. Okay. Okay. Can we have a motion to pass all the other items
Not
except
yet.
for?
Let me
okay.
just finish scanning that. I didn't get through the list altogether. Okay. I guess I have to ask a question about I-46. Darrell will probably answer it, but
Okay, the following items, you still scanning, John?
okay, you going to do 20 first?
Okay, can I get a motion first to approve the other items
Oh, yeah,
except
the
for
other ones,
I-02?
yeah, I move
item
all
20?
but the ones that have been pulled.
Okay,
Second.
moved in second, can we please vote? Okay. Ms. Nakamura?
Oh, I thought I didn't take.
Okay, passes 5-0. We'll start with I-02, first we could go in order.
On this one, it's just a question for the superintendent in terms of, it was a question I'd put for the budget meeting on Saturday in terms of classified management and so forth. Well, I'm getting confused because there's certificated and classified, and how does this fit into the current hiring freeze and so forth?
Chuck, you wanted to address this real quick?
This is IO2.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, 3 of those positions are actually Title I positions, and what we did is one of them is just a change in title. It's not a new position in the sense that it's not a new person and it's not vacated. The other 2 are an attempt to do what we've talked to the board about Title I, and that's to work more closely with the schools in terms of how they're spending the money, preparing and developing. And in terms of dollars, in the past, we have spent upwards of $270 million $270,000 for outside contract work. So what we've done is we've looked at that kind of work, and we're bringing it in-house, actually, with the 2 new positions that you see. So in terms
Which 2 are those?
Those are the director for program improvement and I believe it's the one above that.
Those are 2 of the positions you approved tonight, by the way, in closed session. Yeah.
Director of Program Improvement
And also, we have a program manager for parent outreach. Up till this time, we've actually had one person that's kind of been out there doing the parent outreach, and nobody really totally responsible for the kinds of programs. And what we've heard the board say is we want to expand our parent outreach, and in order to do that, we have brought those people in. So they are being paid out of Title I dollars in terms of making that happen.
So numbers 2, 3, and 4 are out of Title I?
Out of Title I at this.
Okay.
And one of them is not a new position, it's already a person that's there, but as we reorganize, just to clarify job titles, we again, trying to be transparent with the board, we just don't go out and change a title, we bring it to you and ask for you to approve it.
Yeah, the manager parent center is just a title, the person's already doing that job.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve.
Can I get a second for IO2, please?
Second. Yeah.
Moved in second, please vote. IO2, 5-0. I-20. Mr. DeBeck?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of concerns that I have, but I'm going to talk first about the pilots. I got the whole, I've been going through the whole thing, but, okay, the individual divisional curriculum committee assesses and recommends requests for curriculum changes, okay? And there's, the first one are pilot courses. And the pilot courses are the ones that raise my issue, and the real issue about them is what is the criteria at the end of the pilot to recommend its continuation? In other words, you recommend a pilot, then what's the criteria? A pilot's supposed to have an evaluation component. You know, the reason you do a pilot is not to get a permission to do something different, it's to get a permission to do something different and find out if it works. Okay, so there's these pilot courses in Introduction to Technology Support Services is one of them, Principles of Biomedical Sciences, and Human Body Systems. I guess those are the ones that, I don't know, whether green technology, is that another one? Or I think those are site-specific, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that my point is this, and I'll talk first about the pilots. The definition of a pilot for me is a pilot is a course that you're putting out, getting permission to try and to evaluate. You should have a component up front about what would be a successful outcome. It's not just permission to run it and then we'll say, oh, we liked it. The people that proposed it liked it in the first place, or they wouldn't propose it. So then if there's no evaluation component, then basically what you're doing is saying, give them permission to do it as long as they want, and if they finally come back and say we're tired of it, they don't have to do it. But that's not a pilot. Okay? So I'd like to have an evaluation component as a part of the agreement for a pilot. And I don't hear that any of that's happening. I'll just leave it be because there's more. Okay, so now we go down to another courses. And curriculum used to be my business. I don't know. All right. You got a whole lot of courses around, let's say, construction. Okay, you call them site-specific courses, but one of them is an introduction to construction and design. It's a first course in it. And then you have another one at another school, introduction to construction technology. These are all, there is no common curriculum in the whole arena. It seems to me like part of the idea of doing courses is that you come up with a course catalog that is representative of what a curriculum would be for, let's say, construction training. I really have a hard time with, I'll call it, every school in the city having a different kind of delivery system for preparing videos or preparing anything. There ought to be a curriculum around this. Somebody knows how to do it, and it shouldn't just be, they even use different software, different different cameras, different systems, different computer systems completely to do their editing. Somebody's got to find an industry standard, something that's transferable for kids in the industry, and it can't just be that some teacher in some school says, I want to do a pilot running my own little camera. It ought to be more about what's right.
And
That's what I'm getting at.
Before you respond.
So if you go down the line here, I don't think that the Interdivisional Curriculum Committee is asking any questions at all. I think what they're doing is saying, yeah, it's a good idea, do it at your site. But then you don't have to evaluate, just do it.
Okay, before you respond, let me just add some more to your plate. Before you respond, let me add some more to your plate before you respond. Every year I kind of look at this committee work here, and I have to be patient when I speak about it. We talk about intro to technology support services, and Mr. DeBeck is correct. Every middle school, because it is one of the middle school standards for technology, okay? So it doesn't make sense that different schools, and so here we have another school that is developing another technology course, okay? The other part of this is that we have state standards, and any of these courses need to be evaluated about their components for state standards. That never comes up. And then we go down to these human body courses, and I keep reminding champs, my background is in medicine. So when I look at these courses, and I've watched them teach some of these courses, many of them don't have any standards they're relating to. They're taking time away from the real biology that these kids should be learning. And so then all of a sudden, they're failing biology, and they're passing some course that someone made up. That's a problem with me, because then they leave school saying, oh, I've got this, I've been through this medical training, but guess what? Their scores are flat because they didn't pass biology and they didn't pass core courses because they put them in fluff courses. And there's several times, I mean, if you look through here, and Mr. DeBeck is absolutely correct, there are several courses that we have at each high school, and in each one is different. And then when it comes time for students to transition out of high school, colleges are wondering, do they even qualify for college courses? Do they even qualify? And that's been a problem over at many of the schools in my area. And I know I went through this last year with the integrated science. And I said, what does integrated science do? How does it set the students, prepare the students for college? And you get integrated science year 1, year 2, year 3, and guess what? They don't have chemistry, they don't have physics, so they don't have any of the core courses. And when we continue to do this, then we're setting our students up for failure because they're not getting the correct courses. They're getting some fluff course that's okay, someone designed, okay, I'll chill.
Thank you. Might I suggest, the superintendent, that we pull this item?
Thank you.
Give me time to go back and sit with staff and look at it. One of the questions I'll have is, how do these courses that we are recommending, how do they fit into an A to G structure, which is what we're moving towards? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to start approving a lot of courses that don't. And if they do, that's fine, we'll say so. So if we could pull this, we'll do some more homework and come back to you at our next meeting. Would that be?
Appreciate that.
Would that be fine?
Okay.
Fine, I know. Before I leave you, I did have one more.
Okay.
Down at the bottom, the very last one, no, not the very last, there's a thing about world language of Turkish.
Yeah, the San Diego Turkish School?
All right. Okay.
What is that?
Let me put it this way. There are a lot of immigrants in the city of San Diego that speak different languages, probably 150. Are we then going to approve all the courses that come to us for that purpose? Let me put it this way. These are second language students who need to learn what I say, the stuff that's going to be tested, and it's not Turkish. Okay? I happen to believe that there is a reason for having world languages, but I don't think it's necessarily to promote the culture from which they came. Mm-hmm. I think it's mainly to accomplish whatever we need to do for those kids. Now, if learning Turkish is the way they learn math, I got a little bit of interest in that. But If it's just to foster the language that they left behind, I don't know. I mean, honestly, there's a whole lot of languages that are not on this list. And if that's the point, why don't we just say, we approve anybody who wants to create a business to teach some foreign language to do it, and we'll accept it. Instead of having one at a time languages, Somali, Tagalog, all these different languages, everybody wants some of their native language taught. The question is, do we always just have to bring one in at a time, or do we just say we accept the idea that world languages can be taught and we'll accept them?
I just wanted to add to the things, Superintendent, if you could look at this as Mr. DeBeck's point about if they're pilot courses, what's the evaluation that's going to be?
Well, most districts I worked in the past, when the staff said these were going to be pilot courses, a better word would have been these are new courses. Because quite frankly, once you put them in, it's like pulling wisdom teeth with dull screwdrivers trying to get them out.
Oh, we know that.
And that's just the straight of it. I mean, I'd just rather tell you and be straight up. Pilot, well, what does that mean? That you're going to offer them if no one takes them, we don't? But we'll go back and look at that. And because when you put a new course in, when you start talking about an evaluation component for a new course, you've got to be real clear about the criteria you use to establish the course in the first place.
Right. That's what's missing.
And that's what's missing. And so if you have the rationale behind why you did something, then you can more easily evaluate whether or not that was successful or not. So we'll go back and have a discussion about this, and we'll come back to you. Will we have time in terms of doing course catalogs and kids signing up to take courses?
But that's pretty much done. I would just say to you that every statement made up there is absolutely correct. And the bottom line is, if you look at our course book, it is totally out of whack in terms of the numbers of courses. I would say to you that one of our goals when we got here in August was go through that course of study. There was absolutely no way in the world we could do it in 4 months. So our goal is to bring back to you a core, for instance, the middle schools. You probably are aware, we don't have a core curriculum for our middle schools, and we're developing one right now so that we've got schools that don't offer a foreign language at the middle school level, which doesn't allow them to get high school credit. We're going to say to the middle schools, you're going to have to offer a foreign language across the district and some of those other electives. So what you're saying is absolutely correct, and we're not going to sit there and defend that. And when we come back to you with a new course of study, then you're going to see a different look about that. So you're right.
We need to clean, frankly, you need to clean it up, but culturally, I will tell you, this is one of the most difficult challenges you have as a school board, a superintendent, and a staff, because a lot of these courses have been taught forever. I can remember in a district where I was a principal once, and we offered a Caribbean geography course because the teacher had gone to the Caribbean 5 years before and had fallen in love and came back and designed a Caribbean geography course.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. Can we go to item 143 now?
It just drove me crazy then. I'm still crazy
I
over
know,
it.
you mentioned it so often.
Yes, can we go to item 143 now, please?
I don't know, I want to take that Caribbean geography course. He mentions it all the time.
Item 143, please.
That would be me.
Thank you very much.
Which I just want to hold out for a separate vote. I have a problem with long-term leases, and then this just makes the long-term, makes it more cumbersome. I understand the reasoning's been given to me for this, but I really just, I didn't like the way this particular lease came about, and I don't like making it even easier to try and get our facilities back. Part of the problem is when we close schools, which we need to take into consideration as we are considering closing small schools. But when we do that, and then we make it more and more difficult for us to get those facilities back, should we ever need them?
Where is Hale Junior High School? Does staff know
It's in
geographically?
Horizon.
It's in Claremont.
Yeah, it's in Claremont.
It's Horizon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Horizon, yeah.
It's Horizon. And I think that 5 years is just too it's just too long. I mean, it's...
Well, there's been the whole recent reconfiguration of the middle schools in Claremont, and using Hale or not was taken out of that, so we've put a lot of money into reconfiguring the middle schools in Claremont, so I wouldn't see a very immediate need. And my understanding in the community of Claremont is that it's generally a pretty good neighbor in terms of the people in the community being happy that it's there at this time.
I love that school because it's pretty on the outside and well kept. I pass it nearly every day, and they said, please don't take it back because you're going to trash our neighborhood.
Right.
That was one of the reasons why many of us voted for restoring the landscaping
and
positions.
Mr. DeBeck, you and I were both on the board
we knew with the image we already had.
Yeah, but you and I also know what the history of this is. So I'm just pulling it off. I'm not expecting any of you to jump on board with me. I'm just saying that personally, I feel strongly about
Well,
this.
then, is there a motion?
I move that we approve I-43.
You know, I'm actually taking something off the consent agenda. I don't do that very often.
I-32?
I-43 has been moved in second.
Okay.
Any more
no respect
comments?
for my position.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Please vote.
The reason especially is for they can put in capital improvements.
Yeah, please
Yeah,
vote.
okay, good. I didn't vote? Oh, goodness. All right.
Okay, that passes 4-1. The next item is I-46.
Yeah. Okay, Daryl can make this simple for me. Why do we have to have somebody do something we're already doing? I mean, don't we already have email communications, you know, to the schools? I send emails all the time. So is it going through these people?
So to answer your question, actually, we do have communications with email in between school sites, our staff. We can use our mail servers to outreach to email accounts beyond our staff.
I do.
But what occurs is that when we send things like Friday notes, and we have, I think, Ernie,
40,000.
40,000 people on the Friday notes list, what happens is we get ourselves on what's called a blacklist and become a spam, become an issue of being a spammer. And we actually were on the blacklist for Hotmail about 2.5 months ago.
I get half of the mail from the district I can't read because it's been filtered out by Roadrunner. So you're saying this will solve that problem?
Yeah, this will allow us to use another product. It'll keep our district mail system pure for communications with staff and with individuals outside, but for large mass mailings, we should use a third-party product like this.
Okay, so you're saying this is only for mass mailings?
Yes, and the communications.
Right. This also allows us to do to set up groups to let the board, individual board members and schools do email newsletters, HTML letters. So when we send Friday notes now, we send an email and you click and you go to our website. We don't send Friday notes as an email. We only send a link to the website.
I understand that.
This will allow us to actually send it, and you can read it in the email instead of having to go to the website. Plus, for the spam situation that Daryl is talking about, it allows the receivers to opt out, and it will reduce a lot of time that we spend in the communications department preparing these emails and monitoring them afterwards.
So how much it costs?
It's
$1,000 a year.
$250 a month.
$3,000.
The other piece of this is, quite frankly, is that when we looked at this, and I saw this as the platform to begin with, the first thing that popped in my mind, whether you want to do it or not, and whether Bernie has time to help you or your office does, I saw this as a great way to develop a template for you as individual board members to do your own board newsletters.
I've already started that.
Okay. Yeah. And this would be a great way to do it, because if you try to do it from home, it's going to clog your system.
Yeah, but we can't use it for elected purposes. I mean, you have to for elections and that sort of thing. I just want out there that that's...
During election time is a no-no.
Well, we know that. Okay. Anyway, can we get a motion in a second?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion and second. Okay, please vote. Okay.
So you can monitor this, let's say, I think I'm the next, the two of us are the next up for election. So if I start trying to use this thing for broadcasting my puff pieces, it's a no-no?
Yes.
And you'll be able to catch it?
Yes.
No, it just won't happen.
Okay.
All right, that's fine. Just, you can say, this didn't go, or no, you don't get to use it.
Okay, we're now down to our public participation. I have several here, and I have some on the blue sheet. They may not be here, but I'll start calling out until we find someone. Okay, Richard Miller.
Somebody else.
Carla Shishimi. Ken, Carla's here? Oh, okay.
She's still here. The dedication.
Shimiski, okay. Okay.
And I do have these for the board members. Some information about our program.
Carla, you get bonus points for this.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carla Shiminsky. I reside at 721 Torrento Drive in San Diego, and I'm proud to lead the Old Town program. My father, my mentor, was an African Asian studies teacher for high school. He taught in a small upstate New York town of 2,000 people, 99% white. 3 months ago, I lost my mentor, but I did not lose the beliefs that he instilled in me. The meaning of diversity and identity and varied cultures, the pain that prejudice and discrimination bring to our world, and the understanding and appreciation for worldviews and perspectives. He taught those lessons to me through history and through my daily life. I became an educator almost 20 years ago to make a difference in our students' lives. My journey has led me to San Diego Unified School District from New York. As a teacher and now a leader of the Old Town program, it has led me to my passion, history. As a leader, I'm not blind to the budget concerns. Days before the district sent out an email asking us to meet with our budget analysts, I had already met with my staff to ask them to voluntarily give up money to help in this crisis. Those are the civic values that we believe in at the Old Town program and foster in our children. We do not live in an isolated world. I gladly met with my analyst and helped to give up $105,000. I wish it could have been more. Last year, we cut 15% of our budget in staff and operational funds to help balance the budget. We care about the San Diego Unified School District. The Old Town program is willing to be frugal. Allow us to do what we know what to do best. Teach our students. Let them learn about the people from our diverse past. Let our students discover the choices and actions that our past peoples have made to make our San Diego what it is. And allow our students to learn about their own choices and actions and how that affects today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Bergen, Mary Walsh, Ian Kelly, okay. Patrick Baggard, Thomas Cole, Ken Haid, Terry Burgess, Eric Christian, Sherry Yarborough, Pete Sarcedo, Zachary Warren, Edgar Lima, Alma Coons, Teresa Miranaka, Abel Silvas. You have any more over there? Oh, okay.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute recess and then meet upstairs for debriefing. Thank you.